Oops. Sorry, y'all. I'm here. I was ordering something, so that's why I wasn't here. I was ordering something for Christy's daughter. Anyway, well, and Christy, but Nevada's gonna like hers better. Anyway, what am I doing? Oh yeah, see, I don't forgot what I was doing because I didn't get excited about ordering that. So today we're going to go over Reddit stuff, even though some of the stuff I know that we probably thought was crazy, but now since all this stuff is coming out, all this stuff seems to add up. So let me see, hang on. Okay, so this is something that was posted, I think it was on 4chan or something. I got it off of Images or whatever. Let me see if I can. Well, yeah, I can't make it bigger like that. Okay. I can't see chat right now, y'all, but so I don't know who made this, but this is about the frats, I guess. And it tells us like what this is all alleged, as y'all know this. Motive, extended feud, cover up, possibly every witness together in same house. Victims, Xana, Kaylee, Maddie, Ethan. Suspects, Jack D, David L, David B, Adam L, and Jack S. And I'm reading these names because they're on here. This is all alleged. I'm not saying they did this. I'm just reading. Background information, Fall Rush 2021, David L, David B, feud with Ethan and Xana. Ethan makes fun of David S. Okay, I'm not reading all this for using things that, yeah, okay. Y'all can read that. May 1st, 2022, Adam L, David S, and Jack D. Oh my God. KILL Hudson and hazing accident gone wrong. Possibly waterboarding and toss. Okay, I'm not reading that part. Kaylee dumps Jack and doesn't want him back. Possibly pregnant, I guess is what they're saying. Jack S knows. November 12th, 13th, 2022 lead up. November 12th, 2022, 9 p.m. Ethan and Xana attend party at Sigma Chi. At some point in the night, they get into an argument with David L and David B about the pre-existing feud and the fact that David B failed at tutoring Ethan. November 13th, 2022, 1:30 a.m. Kaylee, Maddie, Jack D, Jack S, and Adam L are all seen together on CCTV at the Corner Club. At some point, Maddie tells Adam everything, possibly because she heard it from Jack S. Hang on. Okay, I thought my thing was going off. Sorry. Okay. Where am I at? Oh yeah. Let's see. So, a white Super Duty, David L, en route to Corner Club, pick up Adam L and Jack D, drives by. A conversation between Jack S, Maddie, and Kaylee occur. Jack S, you guys are in trouble. They're gonna get you girls. Kaylee, Maddie, what did you say to Adam? Maddie, like I told him everything. November 13th, 2022, 1:40. Jack S, Maddie, and Kaylee can be seen at food truck on CCTV while Super Duty carrying David L, Adam L, and Jack D drives by in reflection and revs engine. Okay, at 1:45, Maddie and Kaylee get a private ride home. Jack S takes off to family cabin in the middle of the night. 1:40 to 2:30, David L, Adam L, and Jack D meet up with David B in his family's white Elantra to switch the Super Duty for Dave. Oh my Jesus, I hadn't heard that part. For David L's mom's Genesis G70. November 13th, 2022, 2 to 2:40. Numerous missed calls and texts from Kaylee and Maddie to Jack D. November 13th, 2022, the crime. November 13th, 2:30 to 3, David L., Adam L., Jack D., and David B. meet up at Deacon parking in separate vehicles, Elantra and Genesis. They proceed to take the Elantra to 1122 King Road while Adam L. waits at the Genesis at Deacon. I don't know what the hell that is, but okay. David L. and Jack D. proceed into the victim's home with David B. While David B. waits nearby at the Elantra, place weapons and clothing and backpacks. Return to Elantra. Okay, well, that's great. Yeah, I think it's 4chan. I think that was 4chan. It was just a picture, an image I got off the thing, but I mean, I don't know whether this stuff is true or not, but you know. Okay, and then there's this thing. What the hell? Wait a minute. Why is that making that smaller? Okay. I don't know if that made that big or not, but anyways, this is the one where they're saying they can see the house. See, this contradicts the other one, though, so that's why I hadn't never heard the other one. This one kind of contradicts that one, sort of, because this is the one where they're saying they can see the house and they left their phone on YouTube and yada, yada, yada. Okay. So. And then there's some more stuff I'm going to talk about. Oh, no, that's what I'm saying. It could be the truth. That's what I'm saying. I want to know what those guys' phones was doing and if they were on YouTube. If they were on YouTube and they were just playing for how many ever minutes, then we might have a problem there. Or it could be that other thing I read with, I mean, I don't know. I'm confused about all that, but at this point, I don't put anything. I mean, all the stuff that was supposed to be not true, we are getting confirmation it's true. So it's starting to confuse me a little bit. But Christy, there's another thing I'm going to read in a minute, but I wanted to. Oh shit! Wait a minute. Share this, and this is Thought Riot. I know that most of y'all know who these people are, but they did talk about this, and I can't remember what they said, and I wanted to see what they said. So we're going to watch this for a minute. Jesus. Okay. Hang on.
Themselves.
Whatever faction, you mean race?
Yeah, it's different in the Midwest. It's split up more by gangs than it is by race.
Oh, okay.
For whatever reason, the race separation in prison is like inherently a West Coast thing. It's not even like that in on the East Coast.
Yeah. So yeah, you guys are right. Wisconsin. Sorry, I said Michigan. Yes, Wisconsin. You'd think I would know the difference, but they all seem the same up there.
Yeah.
Even though we're super close to both of them. But yeah. AR said he'd have to be handled by someone like him. Yeah.
And it wouldn't be it would be a serious handling too. So for anybody that doesn't have a lot of knowledge in the system, there's two different ways to clean up your own trash or where people take care of their own. And I'll use this as an example. So like the Sereños in California, what they do is they'll get knives. Like if you mess up, but it is not a life-ending mess up, they'll get their knives and they'll put these guards on it to where the knife blade is a 1/2 inch to 1 inch long, and then like, stab you,
Shank.
their own people. Yeah. But it won't kill you, but it will be awful. It'll be one of the worst things ever and beat you down, But for what Chris Watts did, yeah, he's his only option is to stay separated. And I won't be surprised if the guards help create an overlap eventually.
Eventually.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe.
Yep.
Hopefully he's just in I mean, not hopefully. I really don't care what happens to Chris Watts, but I'm sure which prison he's in is all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, Mike, we just did a story. We just did a so
Yeah, no worries. It's an interesting conversation to have. I actually changed the subject to Chris Watts because I was curious about all of it.
Yes. Okay. So let's get into it. Welcome everybody to the True Crime Talk Show, the one and only. We just watched the Weidrich.
Thought it was Why Derek.
I don't know. It's one or the other. So when I was checking the last name, it said it both ways. So Joseph Wyderich or Joseph Weidrich, depending on where you're at in the world. So it could be either of those. If I'm hacking it one way, I apologize. I don't mean it in a bad way, obviously. So we just covered that case. And the reason why we covered that case, why I thought that was important, is we have been digging into the 4chan theory. And that 4chan theory, there are so many people out there that believe these fraternities are not capable of this. And we have Moscow that's had a 0 for homicides for like multiple years. And I think that there is history out there that can prove otherwise, that these fraternity men are capable of this. I mean, every day we see kids that are 12, 13 years old committing similar crimes. Why would somebody think that a fraternity dude that's yoked out of his mind, super in shape, is not capable of committing a crime like this? I think that is absurd, in my opinion. And I think that there could be a history of proof showing that there are situations where this did happen, therefore making the possibility of making somebody saying that's not possible, not arguable.
So for me personally, I do not feel like why Derek's death proves that that is possible.
You're right.
What it does is it creates a history, okay, of deaths around the fraternity that raises red flags where you're like, now there are cases within fraternities that murders have happened that would prove that it's possible. I promise you those exist. This is really just specifically about Moscow and these fraternities and their way of life, the way they handle things, the secrecy, because there's many deaths that have happened in, surrounding these fraternities that are extremely questionable. And the deaths were ruled very odd things. Like, how can you drink yourself on purpose to death?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I agree 100%. I don't think this proves anything. This does not prove, but what it does prove is how many coincidences are there in a murder. There becomes a time where you have so many situations of this, similar to like Smiley Face, okay? You have all these college-age men where if you take any one of those situations and it stands on its own, there's nothing weird about it. This person just accidentally drowned and they were drunk and didn't know what they were doing. But then when you look at all of them, you're like, oh, wait, statistically, that doesn't make sense. And you have such a small town like Moscow, and then you have these situations, multiple of them that appear the same, that have the same outcome, that were handled and managed in a very similar fashion, all around a town that's claiming a 0 homicide rate and is ran by fraternities.
Yeah.
There comes a time where it's like, okay, that is a lot. That is a lot of coincidences to say,
Yeah.
I don't know.
So what do you think about the argument that people drink themselves to death on purpose every day? So it's not that big of a deal.
Wait, what?
So specifically what we're talking about is, I don't feel like something that ever happens, is consuming enough alcohol in one sitting for you to die.
Yeah.
Like on purpose. Like your intention
yeah.
is to die.
Yeah, I've never heard of that happen ever. I've never met someone in my life that was like, "Hey, I am going to end myself by, beer bonging hard liquor or something like that." I've just never heard of that. Is it possible? I'm sure it is possible, but you have in this situation a good kid with parents that say, the whole time he's been with us, he hasn't partied like this. This is outside of his character. He was going to school to be an architect. I know I said, what did I say? I don't remember what I said, but he was going to school to be an architect.
He was on the dean's list.
Yeah. And he was a really good kid that was trying to make connections with fraternity and Greek Row to rush once it came that time to do it. And contractor, thank you, J. Ray. I said contractor, but it's architect. He was going for an architect. And so you have this really good kid that seemingly has everything together. And, the night he goes to Greek Row to party, walks away with, according to law enforcement's story, a 0.3 alcohol level, which is borderline coma. I'm sure you guys have all had those friends that drink so much at any party, where they're the ones that are like wetting themselves when they go to sleep at night. Can't stand up straight, can't talk straight, sitting like this, just barely holding themselves up. That is the level that 0.3 is. This boy walks 7 miles. 7 miles with a 0.3 alcohol level, encounters 2 different homeowners and neighbors in that area, gets a head injury, and goes to sleep under a bridge. That is so convenient, because flip the story. If I did something to somebody and I'm thinking in the mind of a fraternity, and I did something to somebody and somehow they got hit in the head, right? So I had a friend that went to prison for manslaughter because they got in a fist fight and were drinking, and this dude fell backwards and hit his head and killed him, right? So let's say something like that happened, and if I want to try and hide it, get it away from me, get rid of any connection to myself, wouldn't I go put somebody under a bridge 7 miles away?
So,
you know what I mean?
Have you seen the bridge?
Yeah. What do you mean? It's all over the video.
Okay. Because,
of course,
I mean, the bridge itself is not like a bridge.
It is.
No, it's not.
Yeah, you must have saw a picture when the water was high, but during winter time the water's low.
Okay, show me what picture of the bridge you're talking about, because what I saw was not a bridge.
It's a drivable bridge here. Now, hang on.
Where did you see that?
That is the bridge.
That's the okay. So where did you get that? Is what I'm asking. Because
while I was investigating the case, I don't know. It's not like I can give you the link.
Okay.
Why? What are you thinking?
So,
I think I know which bridge you're talking about, and it's not that one. That little one, that little baby bridge that only has like 6 inches under it. It's not that.
Are you sure? Because the
100%.
investigators, that's one of the pictures of the case.
No, 100%.
Where the
It's not that.
investigators are there, and there's even a memorial thing there.
This is the memorial area. Yeah.
That's another like terrible thing is that when looking this up, there's not much.
I
See?
know. I already know. Yes. Yes.
That's the bridge it shows.
This is water way under here, and cars drive over this. This is a big bridge.
You can go to it on Google Maps, and it is tiny. It's nothing.
Yeah, then Google Maps saw it when the water level was high.
No.
Because this cars drive over this.
Yeah, cars drive over it. That doesn't make it big.
I guess I'm confused with what you're trying to say. Are you trying to say somebody can't crawl under it? Are you trying to say
I'm saying it's a really odd place to squeeze into yourself.
Okay, right. That's what I thought you were saying. So when the water's low and when it's frozen, you can almost walk under it. That's how much space is between the water and the bottom of the bridge.
Okay, but the bridge you were just showing on the video is like a big bridge.
It's this. It's literally this bridge. What do you mean?
That's not possible for it to be the same.
Hold on. We'll show you guys. Give me 1 second here. Okay, so this bridge, okay, with these guardrails right here is the same as this bridge right here. That's the guardrail. The same drop off. The same hump. That's the bridge. Yeah, I'm telling you, the water level is huge in difference.
You're blowing my mind right now. You're blowing my mind.
I don't know what to tell you.
I wish I could. So I saved the address that I had on Google Maps for the bridge, but now it's like way off.
Either way, it's really not important. So I don't want to get hung up on this because this doesn't change anything in the case.
Okay.
Whether it's a tiny bridge or not, but these two bridges are the same. And you are able to crawl under this bridge where the body was found. Now, the question I have is how convenient is it to roll up to this bridge and yeah, I'll show both bridges again, CH. Give me 1 second. So roll up to this bridge right here. It's not even worth obsessing on.
Keep talking. I'm listening to you.
But you're looking at summertime. So
this is not summertime. This is fall when everything's dead.
You have to look at the seasons because the water level difference is massive.
Okay. It shows it at multiple points. You can in Google Maps you can change the year and time. But go ahead.
So for a car to pull up, it is the same bridge. Yep. For a car to pull up here and bring the body out and drop it, that is really convenient and really easy.
See, I know because I've seen it on Google Maps because the other day I took pictures of it. I do not believe that is the same bridge.
I don't know what to tell you, but it is. This is literally a picture from that night. So I don't know how you can say this isn't the bridge.
That's just weird. I'm not understanding why there's a confusion there.
I think
we are
maybe
talking.
You got confused, but when you look up and look at the crime photos, they all show this bridge and they show the house nearby where they think he jumped the fence and walked down this embankment. Trust me, I did a ton of research on it.
So
it's not worth getting hung up on.
Okay.
So I'm just curious how you think it changes the story.
Because a bridge like that you were just showing, like a big bridge up on pillars.
Yeah, this one.
So I have a map here. It's like a little 3D map that showed his exact route that night.
Yeah, I have it on the video too.
And where it shows him ending, there is not a bridge like that. Where it shows him in that map.
Yeah.
When you go to Google Maps and go to that location, it is a tiny little, you can't even call it a bridge. It's like the tiniest bridge ever that goes over a tiny piece of creek.
Yeah, that's like just north of it. That's the walking bridge in the same area, but that's not the bridge his body was found under.
What I'm talking about is not a walking bridge. It is just
the white bridge, right?
Huh?
It's the white bridge.
No, it's not any color. It's just a road that goes over a creek. Like on an old county road, which is what they're showing in that picture that you were just showing.
No. Look at the water level and look at
the water level doesn't matter. That is not a big river. That is a tiny itty bitty creek, and that is not a bridge with pillars. That is just the pavement with basically a gutter going through it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the other bridge you were showing is one that's up on pillars.
No, it's not. Nope. These two are the same bridges. I think you're thinking it's a bridge like that.
That is not a gutter.
What
you're showing flowers.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm telling you, this is the same bridge.
So Brendan's right. Open it up to theater mode. That's why I don't know why you keep it on that little mode. So that's not a pillar. That is a vase of flowers.
Yeah.
And that is the guardrail at the top. So this whole time with it that tiny, I couldn't.
You need the Jesus. Gosh.
Because this whole time I'm like, that is
pillars. What are you talking about? Pillars.
Bridge. What in the world are you talking about? Yeah, you do need a referee. I just needed to not be blind. But no, you're right. Okay, that's a guardrail. That's a tiny bridge with a little gutter.
Yeah.
Okay.
That picture is right here.
I know everybody that was like, what is going on here? Because they were agreeing with me, saw the same thing because it's tiny.
Yeah, but they know that the rule is Malia's always right. I'm the bad cop aggressor. So everyone has to side with you. That's been the rule.
I just wasn't familiar with the flower picture. So when you showed that, it literally, when you don't know what you're looking at, it's that tiny. It looks like a giant bridge.
Yes. I don't know.
You're the one looking at it big and up close and cutting it into a video. So
I mean, I trust you, but so what you were seeing is you thought this was the road. Oh no.
I was like, he's delusional. He's literally lost his mind.
No.
It totally did look like that when it was small. I know. For reals.
That's super funny. But anyways, back to the story.
Yeah, let's move on.
During winter time, you guys, as you can see in this picture here, the water level is super low. And I know that Malia said that it's like a little drain through it, but it's a big cylinder. Like it is a pretty big cylinder.
It's a big gutter
that you can lean down and walk through. So, but it also fills up. I've also seen pictures where there is like inches left underneath this thing. And it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. To me, what I think is, how many times have I seen somebody this drunk crawl into a really bad situation and freeze to death like this when there's literally houses around? And then how many times have I seen somebody drop a body in a similar situation?
So what do you, here's that's also weird, and you're right, and I agree with you, like that would make sense. But what also is weird, because Okay, you're talking about somebody dropping a body. He didn't just go to the bridge that night and walk to the
You're
bridge and
right.
crawl under it. He was in people's homes.
According to the story found online, we don't have, and I was typing that in the chat too when we were watching the premiere, but we haven't got any official documentation yet. But the current storyline on this is he walked 7 miles, and I can pull it up. He walked 5 to 7 miles. Wait. There we go. He walked 5 to 7 miles and talked to 2 different people who confirmed that he was there. And then after all that, fell and hit his head and then crawled to his final resting place. That is so absurd.
I mean, what's absurd is the fact that he walks 7 miles before being so wasted that he falls. It's like, well, then how did he walk 7 miles?
I agree.
But
that's what
also-
I'm saying. At 0.3, that is comatose level. Like, I don't think people, if you know, you know.
If you know,
okay?
you know,
But
yeah.
0.3 is can't stand up, can't talk, can't do anything. And the statements made by these neighbors both said they had a conversation with him.
Yeah.
At 0.3, you will not be able to have a conversation with somebody and be like, yeah, I thought they were okay.
Oh, wait. Let me ask you a question. And this may seem far-fetched, but is there a way, like, is there anything you can inject in a human to make it, I'm curious, did he have alcohol in his stomach and his digestive tract? Is there anything you can inject in a human that would make your blood alcohol level that high without actually drinking?
I mean, yeah, there is, but the
There is?
likelihood of that, yeah, that was one of the theories that we had with the smiley face killers, where, what is it? There's 2 different types of alcohol. I don't remember the names, but
Ethyl and ethanol, right?
yes, one is for drinking, and the other is not.
I
But
think there's
both of
more
them,
than 2.
both of them, well, there are more than 2 in each of those categories, though.
Oh, okay.
So, like, it's a pyramid where they break down into separate different types of alcohols. But one of them could potentially be inhaled or injected or cause somebody to unwillingly have a higher blood alcohol content. And that was one of my theories at one point with the smiley face killers. If it's real, if that's real, is how did these guys get so drunk after being picked up from a restaurant, somewhere in the day where they weren't even drinking? How did they get so drunk? And I've always wondered if it was done in a way like that. So could that be possible here? Sure. Could this be a smiley face killer situation? Sure. Could it be a fraternity messed up and it's a horrible look for the college
A
and they didn't
hazing
want their
incident?
they didn't want their numbers impacted? Sure. Could it be the actual story that we're seeing here? Sure. It could be any of
Y'all, how did he walk that many miles? That's weird.
those things. But the whole point to talking through this is after hearing every detail, what is the most likely here? Me personally, and I'm not a big tin hat person. Like, I love talking about it, but I usually think reality lands in the middle somewhere. It's never the mainstream. It's never the conspiracy. It's usually somewhere in the middle. But I don't think this main storyline makes sense. I don't think you could have a 0.3 BAC and have 2 different conversations with neighbors who both said they believed that he looked okay and had it together on a night that was so cold that it could freeze somebody to death. That is absurd. and then to hop a fence to see a weird struggle in the snow. And I haven't talked on that yet, but I wonder if so the second neighbor he talked to, which I corrected on text on the screen here in the video. Let me see if I can find it real quick. The second neighbor he talked to sent him across the street. Okay. Down with no. Okay. So the second neighbor he talked to says they sent him across the street. It was a woman, and she said she didn't open the door. Makes sense, right? A guy standing there. It is the early morning hours, 1, 2, 3 a.m. She didn't want to open the door for him. I get it. She says she sent him across the street, and the police report, based on what I could find, remember, I don't have the actual one yet. Based on what I could find, the police said the tracks in the snow made it look like he was trying to flag somebody down. How do you flag someone down with your feet? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, footprints couldn't be an indicator of flagging anybody down. That makes zero sense at all. Where'd that map go?
It's the video.
Oh, okay. You should just have that map pulled up.
Yeah, what is going on here? It's being strange. Sorry, guys. There we go. Okay.
So
Jeez,
on
this is being lame.
What is that?
I don't know what is going on here. Hang on. I'll get the map. I just got to reload it.
Because I can send you this link and you can just...
No, this is a bigger picture than that link is.
No, it's not. I have it huge on the screen.
Okay, so
it shows that from D Street, okay, that there's footprints going to number 3, which it says D Street turns into a private road and walked over a hill through the snow to Darby Road. So it shows a trail of footprints, and that's like, I know you guys probably can't see it super well, but
yeah, they can see your mouse, so just highlight it.
This is the University of Idaho. I want the map bigger, I really do. University of Idaho is right here if you can see me circling it, okay? Which I know it's kind of hard to see. And then up here is Highland Drive where he spotted, and then right here is where it's D Street. Right here. That's D Street. Yeah. And then it shows a trail of footprints up to Darby Road. Right here.
Well,
is that where they're claiming?
It doesn't show it up to Darby Road. It shows that he turned onto Darby Road and they lost track of the footsteps literally right after he turned onto Darby. So it does not show him coming all the way up here.
What?
Yeah, it does not. It was a very short set of footprints, according to them. But remember, like...
and that's where he was supposedly flagging somebody down?
Do we know? No, he flagged him down from the second neighbor. So it's
up
right
by
here.
The bridge.
Right here. Knocks on the door at Mountain View Road. Boom.
Okay, so that's like at the end of his journey.
That is at the end of his journey. Correct. Yep. Correct.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense how they could say it looked like he was flagging somebody down by his footprints.
I agree. It doesn't add up to me either. Hey, new member Carmela Cole. Welcome.
Yes,
super stoked to have you part of the Thought Riot. But yeah, how do you?
I don't know.
How do you?
So that didn't come from a witness account or camera or anything like that. They just said the footprints made it look like he was trying to flag somebody down.
So Yes, that's what it says, that the footprints were it looked like they were trying to flag someone down. Now, what's interesting is based on everything that I can find, which was on 3 different reports, police said they tracked him via footprints and cell phone. So the only option is there had to be some kind of app on his phone because they are not tracking him via tower.
Wait, what year was this in again?
There were phones. Yeah.
There were phones, but considering how bad the coverage is right now, I don't have much faith in it being that good like a decade ago.
Yeah, I think it was like 2011, right? I'm getting these mixed up. So let me just verify what year it is because we have
2013.
Yeah. Well,
or was it
no.
earlier than that? Pretty sure it's 2013, but I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. So 2013. Yep. So what smartphones were out in 2013? Yeah, so you had the iPhone 5.
Not too bad.
No, and the Galaxy Note was out. So the only option, they aren't doing it via cell phone triangulation. It's not possible there. Unless this is a big unless they had more towers back then, which doesn't make sense because that is during the time of 3G connection, not 5G, and 3G goes way further. So technically there should be less towers, which would make it harder to triangulate. So he must have had some kind of app on his phone then. If
like
that's what they're saying.
Find My iPhone.
Yeah, and we're best faith assuming.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, it had to be something like that. Or like his parents were tracking him with one of those like family apps or something.
Something. I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't go into the details, which again is a problem that we see in Idaho is the lack of details. You never know when people are going to be interested. People care about their society. People care about other people, even though it doesn't seem like people do. People do. So to withhold all these details, especially in a situation where you feel like it was an accidental death, why? What's the point? What is the point?
Well, I think CH made a really good comment. Essentially, they find, okay, a university student drunk and has passed away from, I guess it's an easy assumption that they were being reckless and drunk and young and made a mistake. Got too drunk and, fell, hit their head and died. Froze to death. It's an easy assumption, and I guess it is like the most simple answer, which usually is the right answer. But in this case, it's just
when
not.
it comes to murder.
But when it's, that's not. It depends.
If this
depends.
is a homicide type situation, it's usually not the simplest.
It just doesn't make sense.
That's what I'm
once
saying.
you look at his whole journey of that night, it doesn't make sense that he just was too drunk, fell, hit his head, and crawled under a bridge and froze to death.
Yeah, and I think where I'm going with that too is not that a simple answer isn't possible. It's that we shouldn't accept that ever. Everything should have been checked. Everything should have been checked.
Yeah, if they rule it an accident, though, I don't think they'll go that deep into it.
Yeah, but you got to be able to rule it an accident.
True.
So,
but yeah, this was in 2013. Somebody was asking.
Since 2010 in this area, I believe it's 5 or 6.
Huh?
Not including Idaho 4.
What's 5 or 6?
Dara just asked how many Greek life deaths since 2010. Not including the Idaho 4. I believe it's 5 or 6.
Oh.
So, and they've been rocking that 0 homicide rate, which again, you guys, that is very good for the school.
Right.
I don't think it's easy to overlook how important that 0 is, because what does it really matter in a lot of towns, other than some report in some magazine saying this is one of the safest places to live? It doesn't matter, except when an entire town depends, their livelihood depends on that dang school.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So we don't have enough information here to say the police did something wrong. We don't have enough information to say this story isn't exactly what it is. We don't have enough information to say something different happened. We don't have enough information. What we're hoping to do is show a history of not enough investigations done, questions answered, transparency given. Not to call out the police, but because this is the judgment of the justice system in this area. It is our job to do that.
Yeah, so I just want to ask a question. What do you think the culture within Greek life, okay? Because even though there's separate fraternities, there is like a Greek life. Like they all intermingle, they're all a part of that. There's secrecy, they're sworn to secrecy, or putting the fraternity above all, above everything. What and say, they do hazing secretly. Okay, they do it secretly because it's part of the tradition. It binds people together, and it's what they do. Okay,
Yep.
but sometimes people die, so and they can't have that coming back on the fraternity or the university. It needs to go away.
Yep.
What kind of culture do you think that breeds among the students and people who are within these fraternities?
I can tell you exactly what culture it breeds. It breeds
Moscow.
no, I mean, yeah, but it also breeds the where did I have those floating letters? So
I wasn't asking you. I was more asking the viewer. Like just to ponder that.
yeah.
Because I think
mean,
it's
the
important.
statistics are what's important in that. And that's what I was trying to find in the
ahead.
video is the statistics. The 2 most important statistics, in my opinion. Well, okay, 3. 3 most important statistics are 45%. So almost half of all fraternity men leave their college years with a drug or alcohol dependence. Okay, number 1. That is an absurdly high percentage. Almost half leave with an addiction. 2, fraternity men are 300% more likely to assault somebody else.
That statistic is insane for me.
Insane. And these are all pulled directly from, I think it's nhsa.gov or whatever, one of the .gov sites that track the statistics around, drug, alcohol, assault, things like that. So I just did the 300%, the 45%, and then 3, sorority women are 6 times more likely to be sexually assaulted. So there's your culture. That's it. Now, how do we feel like it's impossible for homicide, for manslaughter, for something like that to not come into play here? Those statistics are scary stuff.
They are scary.
You have assaults, alcohol and drug use, and sexual elements like that at an absurdly high percentage, 300%, 600%. almost 1 in 2 leave with an alcohol dependence or drug addiction.
Yeah, and in that kind of culture, you're gonna have people who are still good people, okay?
Oh, for sure.
Like that were
Yeah.
raised right, that have good head on their shoulders, that are a part of it for, the networking and the benefits you get from it. But then you're gonna have people who are going to take things to an extreme, always, who
Yep.
don't have a good head on their shoulders, who are a bad egg. Okay, they just are, and they're going to take advantage of the privileges that they get from a fraternity like that,
Yeah.
like having lawyers on demand to fix things for you,
Yeah.
having people sworn to protect you and keep your secrets.
And remember that, like, what she's referencing is the Sigma Chi. What's it called? I just had it. I'm having an ADHD moment.
I don't remember the name of it, but you pulled up pictures of it.
It's the problem solving group, the risk management. So Sigma Chi has their own in-house risk management team. What's that for culture? You have so many issues that you need to have your own risk management team? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's terrifying.
it is.
So I go back to, how does it not make sense? And all of this can be tied into the Idaho 4, because could Koberger have been involved in this madness and there's more to the story? Absolutely. Could Koberger have been directed to do this crime? Absolutely. And have some sort of involvement here. Could Koberger not have anything to do with this? And the 4chan theory is correct, where he's the patsy and 2 main culprits could have done this. Absolutely. Based on all the statistics we see, that makes perfect sense. But the one thing that I don't understand.
Y'all, sorry, we're gonna watch this. I'm giving Kiki time to do what she's doing, and then she's gonna come up here with me. So that's why we're gonna stay watching this. Plus, because it's interesting, it's telling us some stuff about the frats and all that. So, and I can't remember all this.
Is people trying to come out and say this is impossible from a frat?
Yeah, people are saying that the Idaho 4 murders are impossible from a frat. But yet, at the same time, Koberger was a college student. He may have not been in a frat, but he was a college student, same as the rest of them. He was a little bit older, but why does that matter? And there are older people in Sigma Chi. So, I mean, why is it so far-fetched that another college student couldn't have done this? Why do we look at Koberger like he's not just another college student?
Like, you want me to answer that?
No,
Oh.
I'm just asking that question because
Yeah.
people are looking at all of the victims and all the fraternity members as children,
Yeah.
but not Koberger. And I fully understand he was like 27, 28, something like that. I get that.
Yeah.
But there are those age of people going to the University of Idaho too.
Yeah.
Or am I wrong? Is there nobody there? I mean,
No, absolutely. There are people that go to that college that are going for their doctorate. Okay. So normally that is, 7 to 10 years of schooling.
yeah.
So if you start at 18, your best turnout with no hiccups, no any additional schooling courses, anything like that, you're looking at best at 25, 26 to 30,
Yeah.
or 28. So yeah, I think it's totally possible. I think 100% it's possible. One thing that we try and do here, is help people see bias, or that's my goal. I don't know if it helps. I have no idea if what we say helps people try and look at their inner bias, but bias is everywhere. I'm biased. You're biased. Everyone's biased. There's no way not to be. If you're not a sociopath, you have bias in you due to trauma, life experiences, all the things that make us human. Now, that bias, if left unchecked, can cause us to look at things in a not so honest and upfront way for ourselves, because there's some kind of emotional buy-in of why we want it to go this direction instead of that direction, right?
Yeah.
It could be anything, just any kind of emotional tie, right? And using Idaho 4 as an example, let's say you really connect with the victims because you have kids that are the same age and you couldn't imagine what you would do in that situation if this was one of your kids. So it pulls you into some kind of emotional connection to this case and story, right? And that's why you are so bought into learning about it, following it through, finding out the details, helping look for who could have potentially done it, whether it's Kohberger, whether it's somebody else, no matter what it is, right? So emotionally, you are drained from looking in, and I'm just going down a theory here. Emotionally, you are drained from looking into this case, right? So if you're that person and you are just drained, you've had enough, but you can't stop looking, but you've had enough, but you can't stop looking. The easy answer is to assume Kohberger did it, right? Without looking into it.
Well,
without looking into the possibility of other people. That's the easy outcome.
Here's the thing, is that everybody likes to say, okay, the simplest answer is usually the correct one. But is Kohberger the simplest answer?
Yes.
Is my question to you, because he's not.
Yes, because he's in cuffs. You're missing what I'm meaning.
No, yes, you're right to us now, but to investigators at the time, he was not the simplest answer.
Right, but I was speaking on behalf of a viewer having a bias because of an emotional buy-in to this case, because there's some relevance between them and the victims.
Yeah.
So in that situation, yes, Kohberger is the easy answer.
Yeah.
Because then the guy is got, right? He's got. There is no more wondering how many sociopaths are out walking around outside, putting your family and life in danger. You saw
you had a speech about it for a minute.
So Kohberger's the easy answer there. But is it the right answer if it doesn't make sense? That's what that. And there is no answer to that question. There isn't any answer.
It makes sense when you look at it at face value because of the evidence only, like the proposed evidence is like, well, because that's the argument you hear. I mean, we have to go back and look at the other side, okay? What people are arguing that believe he's guilty. It's like, well, how many coincidences are going to stack up until you admit he's the guy? Like, cell phone shows him in the area. You know, his DNA is on the knife sheath. You know, he behaved differently according to his students before and after the crime. He had multiple situations with women that did not turn out good. People said he was weird. You know, there's so many things. And the car, he drives the car that was seen, and it stacks up, right? But then
when you get granular,
you see that there's been a huge character assassination campaign from the beginning. Okay, and you don't know what's real because nobody that close to him has spoke up about him. And those that have, like his friend that he was friends with, didn't say he was a weirdo. That girl that was like BFFs with him for a while, she didn't say he was a weirdo. She said they had a good relationship till he got on drugs.
Yeah, and that's just the baseline. You can look into any of those singular pieces of evidence at a granular level, pulled out of the grand scheme of, this painted picture of like what you're talking about, and things don't add up.
Well, yeah, then the cell phone data, then the DNA, you're like, whoa, weird. Okay. And it's all like the DNA is the one linchpin. Like that, honestly, no, it's not the linchpin. Dylan's the linchpin. The thing that the DNA is the glue that's holding the theory together.
Yeah.
The moment that DNA is disproven or enough reasonable doubt is brought to the table where you're like, I don't know if I can believe this DNA anymore.
Yeah.
You know, this is like it seems like they stretched too much to make it fit or something, you know? That's gonna be the moment the entire case falls apart.
Yeah, but to be honest though, I think all the evidence is just questionable enough, except for the cell phone, because I mean, those of you who have been here for a while,
when people are like, okay, whatever, the DNA is off the table because they're not going to include it in court, which they were always going to include it in court, you guys. Just not the IgG.
I don't agree.
Oh, they were absolutely going to include the STR in court. They just never wanted anybody to know about the IgG.
Then they were trying to hide that because the request says keep the DNA out. It does not say keep the IgG out. It does not say keep the SNP out. It says,
do you know why?
Keep the DNA
But do you
out.
know why?
Why?
Because that was before they ever did a buccal swab and they didn't have that match. All they had was the IgG and his dad's DNA.
It doesn't matter.
So if they didn't get a match, then they would have never brought it to the table after the fact.
Right. And I feel like that point is selling my
but
point.
They got
where
a
they
match.
Weren't confident that they were going to be able to get that match. Otherwise, why ask to keep it out, all of it? Anyone that says that they just wanted to keep the SNP out, not the STR, that's not what the documents say. And I wish I had it here. I wasn't expecting to bring this up, but the documents say DNA.
Yeah, because I get what you're saying, but that's because all they had was the IgG, and they were like, "Oh man, none of this is looking good."
No,
but it's enough.
They did not only have the IgG
and his dad's DNA.
If the PCA is correct, they had that STR already. They're claiming that they were the ones that ran the STR. That doesn't make sense,
right? But they had the STR. They did the IgG. And they got his dad's DNA. And then after that is when they got the buccal swab after they wrote that document.
Yeah.
They wrote that document like that because they were not going to include any never
DNA.
planned. No, they never wanted anyone to know about the IgG.
Agreed.
And Taylor called them out on that.
You're saying IgG. I don't think they wanted to use any DNA because the document says DNA.
So I think you're right, but that changed once they got the buccal swab match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's important to say. They didn't want to include any DNA.
Yeah, but
they
didn't have their full case yet.
Okay, but if you were arresting someone and you believed that they were truly that person, why on earth would you not include the DNA? The only reason is if you're not confident
because they didn't have
that DNA is going to match.
Because they didn't have it.
It doesn't matter.
They didn't have a match.
It doesn't matter. If you're at the point that you're getting an arrest warrant, then that you should be pretty dang confident that is your suspect. So then why not include it?
Because they don't ever want to include the IgG stuff.
I am not talking about IgG. I've clarified that a lot. We're talking STR.
Okay, but
they said DNA.
But the issue is the IgG is all they had.
That is not true.
Yes, because
they already attempted to run it through CODIS at that time.
You're right.
So they had the STR.
They had an STR that they ran through CODIS. Yep. They did the IgG, which is the only thing that gave them a lead. The STR did not. So the STR is on the back burner for when they try to compare it to a buccal swab.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So if they had the right guy, they would be confident that would match. So why not include it?
Because they don't want anyone to know about it. Obviously, I don't know why we're arguing this.
I don't understand how you don't understand that. So what that situation proves is that they weren't confident in their decision that he was it.
Yeah, agreed.
Otherwise, they did not ever say we want the only the IgG and the SMP left out. They said DNA, all of it.
Yeah.
That's what the document says. So it's
Yeah.
not just that the whatever profile or whatever.
It
It's
was
all of it.
it was a
And
it
I
was a
understand
fail
they didn't.
safe.
I understand.
It was a fail safe.
That's
It
not
was
what
a
the
way.
document says.
It was a way that I feel like it was a way for them to be able to have a way out of like not using the DNA
I mean,
if
that's
they
a
wanted to.
stretch,
Dude,
because I
if
don't
you
see
get
it
an
that way.
STR match with a buccal swab, there's absolutely no chance in hell they are not including that in a trial.
Then why would they
There's no
say that they're
chance.
not including DNA? You're arguing
Because
a
of
point
the
that was never made.
because of the issues that they went through, I think, to get that DNA.
But according to the PCA, they didn't go through any issues to get the STR.
They're lying.
They just had a non-matched profile sitting there waiting for their suspect to be arrested and have the search warrant to get the buccal swab and then compare it to that. So why would you ever say we don't want any of the DNA?
Because of the IgG and all the stuff that they went through to get it.
No way.
So what's your answer then?
Because they weren't confident in their suspect.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And also, they were lying.
I don't think it has anything to do with that. I think that it proves that they have a weak case. I don't think there needs to be lies included. I don't think there needs to be any of that. I think they were not confident that Brian was going to be the guy, that there was not going to be a match. They thought they were going to be able to build a case based on what they got from the car. They didn't ever want the DNA in. Never. Any of it. The STR, none of it. They didn't want any of it in.
Tell us your question, J. Ray. So look, when I say IgG,
and I can find the document, you guys. I'm sorry we're talking about this and I don't have it, but I will post it on our notes. The document says DNA in general. I'll find it.
I don't even remember the name of the document, but you guys know the one. It's the one where they're talking about not using the DNA they found on the knife sheath, but they want it for a warrant. And Andrea Burkhart covered it, and she said she thought it was because they obtained it illegally, probably. But yes, thank you, Ian, for alerting us. J. Ray has a question because apparently it's very, very important. I wasn't trying to be like mouthy. Sorry, that came out really weird.
Yeah, you guys, obviously, Malia is always right. I get it, but we're inserting narrative when there is none. We're saying that this is why they were doing this, and why? How can we do that? We can't say, "Oh no, let me clarify for them. They actually meant this."
So
that's not an okay.
So what I truly think is going on there is I think they wanted to hide their means of getting it. And I think that you are also right. And they weren't 100% sure Brian was the guy. Them not being 100% sure about their suspect, I do not think is enough of a reason for them. Because that's just not true. That's just not true. They will do IgG and all of that stuff and be unsure if that's actually their suspect and still include it. That doesn't make sense. I think the only way that it could be hidden in that way is that something was not right. They did not want to be transparent about something. And is that this has been my theory for a while now, is that they prematurely cleared all leads and suspects to do the IgG, to fast track this investigation, to get it solved as quickly as possible for the university.
I'm talking about his arrest warrant. The arrest warrant is one of them. One of the documents. I can pull it up. I just don't have it handy because I didn't plan on talking DNA.
I think it's a search warrant.
It says that they did not want to include DNA, and it literally says DNA.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that.
It doesn't say anything about SNP. It doesn't say anything about any of that. It
Well,
says
no,
that
of
they
course
did not want to include DNA. So I just don't feel like it's okay for us to, give the state reasons why when, I mean, it says DNA. If they wanted to be more particular, they would have been. So I don't know if they were trying to hide a lie. All I know is they didn't want that DNA. And it could be one of two things. Either they weren't confident in the test, which was going to blow up and throw their whole case. They didn't believe that DNA they found on the button snap was going to match Brian Koberger or not. And I think that is very telling.
Okay.
That is a very big deal.
I have a point to make, but first let's shout out Mikey and Ashley.
Yes. Mikey coming in hot.
Yes, thank you so much, Mikey. I'm not sure who got that, but welcome and congratulations. We appreciate the support, Mikey.
Yes. And Ashley also coming in hot.
I'm Tennessee, you got the membership. Yay.
I'm not mad, but I can pretend to be mad if it brings a good show.
We're not mad. Neither one of us are mad.
Convo.
Yeah. I think people mistake passion for like anger sometimes. We're not mad. Like these are our brains working real hard, okay? We're getting a brain workout, we're talking.
Yeah.
We're passionate, okay, about our arguments. Okay, so here's my point. But thank you, Ashley. Oh, thank you, Ian. Shout out to Mikey and Ashley. Ian just sent a super chat. Okay.
All right. Ian, are you all good? Like, are you back?
Are you back from Argentina? I hope you had safe, happy, great, wonderful travels. All the good things. Okay, so yeah, passion equals anger. That's exactly right.
Right.
Healthy discussion. That's right. Okay. So here's my point.
I'm the instigator, the aggravator.
I think at this point in time, we need to listen to Bill Thompson and what he has told us. And the fact that the DNA, okay, the STR and the IgG are two completely separate things.
No, I don't think so.
They are
they're separate when they're
not
said
to
as separate.
us. Not to us.
Yeah.
But to the state and what they are presenting as evidence in court, they are entirely separate. That is the entire basis of the parallel construction. That the IgG is separate. The starting point, and that the STR is the second construction, along with the car and the tip and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But the IgG is the actual starting point. But these things are totally separate.
We just don't
know the state. Yes. Bill Thompson does not want the IgG in court.
Okay, but
we already know that from everything he said.
Between opinion and
That's
court documents. If it's not said in court documents, then it is not case fact.
Bill Thompson has said they are only bringing the STR compared to the buccal swab.
I understand that's what they've said. He made a statement while standing, and they were talking about this. But that is after it got called out. So that's why I'm arguing that point about the DNA being brought in, because the state never gave this explanation. So if we want to give reasons why it says DNA and not IgG, SNP, or STR, then we've got to be able to have some kind of evidence behind that.
Well, I think the evidence is the fact that now, because look, there is not any chance ever that investigators and a prosecutor are going to get an STR match to a buccal swab and not include that in court unless it was illegally obtained. There is
that document is pre-buccal
it's
swab,
not even, you're right. That was my whole point. That's why I brought it up. Yes, it's pre-buccal swab.
Yeah.
which is why I think they generalized it that way. That's why they just said DNA, because they didn't have that yet. So they
you
just
gotta understand that
generalized
DNA includes all of that. So when you ask to not include the DNA, you are literally saying that you are not going to include the STR. You are not going to include the SNP. You are not going to include the familial whatever. You're not going to include any of that.
And that makes sense with Bicca Barlow's statement that it was partial and ambiguous.
I agree. That's literally what I've been arguing. But for whatever reason, you're assuming that DNA means this over here when it means everything. And I get it. I hear you. There is never a case in the world where they're going to find DNA on the victim's body and have it match, an STR match at the 99th percentile. There is no way that's not going to be brought into court. But that is what they were saying. That is what is said.
What I think,
Everyone that says that that's not what they meant, there is no evidence of that yet. Because that's what the document says.
That's why
I understand things change, but why at that point did they not want to include it at all?
Because I think that was their fail-safe. If this doesn't pan out the way we want it to, we want to be able to go back and say, look, we were never going to include this. Because look, we knew it wasn't good evidence. We knew that there were issues there. We were never going to include it. I think it's a fail-safe.
I don't understand that, because they aren't leaving themselves a fail-safe. They're setting themselves up just to lie.
I agree with you. I don't think it's very smart. But I do think that is the purpose. Why else say that? Other than, look, we were never going to include it. I don't think they wanted
to include it at all.
Well, I think
period. I don't think ever. I think everyone else.
Then why is it included?
I think everyone else is making the assumption that, oh, they always wanted the STR.
Then why is it included?
Because the defense knows about it. And you can't not include it because it was part of the
They were always going to have to turn
warrant.
it over. They were always going to have to turn that over, though, and they knew that.
They didn't know that. That's why they were asking the judge to keep it out. They were asking in hopes to have this kept out. But it's the judge's decision. It could have been equally as kept out as brought in.
Yeah, they were always going to use the DNA. I don't agree.
I understand.
But
that's
just,
your opinion,
I think they were hiding their work is what they were doing. That's just my opinion. Now, could I be wrong? Maybe, but I think they were hiding their work.
Yeah, I think we're arguing the difference in like opinion versus what's being said in court docs. Because I'm not even worried about their intention. Their intention is to win. They don't care who, how, what, when, where. That does not matter. So I'm not caught up on, they're lying about this because of this or because of that. Right now, currently, they did not want, not right now, currently, when that document was submitted, they did not want any of the DNA in. And that brings up a very important question of why. That doesn't make sense. It makes zero sense to have an STR profile that you got off of a potential murder weapon and not want to bring it in. There is no backup. There is no failsafe. You asked the judge not to bring that in.
It's called parallel construction, like we were talking about. You do all the work until you do the IgG until you have this STR comparison, and then you can just not include all the IgG because look, we had an STR sample and we got a buccal swab. That's all you need to know.
I get you keep going back to that, but that's not what it says.
I think that, well, of course, why would it say that?
That shouldn't have ever been asked then, is what I'm saying.
I agree with you. I think it was a pretty dumb decision, but they needed a way to not include it just in case it was bunk, but also use it to investigate further because
the use it part is what gets me. That request does not set them up to be able to use it.
It sets them up to be able to use it specifically for that warrant only, and then be able to say, oh, but it's not evidence, just in case it's bunk.
Yeah,
It was just probable cause.
But it's not. So
It's like smelling
no,
a smell out of a
all
car.
evidence given for an arrest warrant is included in the case. So that's not possible.
Exactly. So they always knew that it was going to be turned over to Ann Taylor and Brian's defense team, whatever, for discovery. They always knew that. But she could never get her hands on the IGG. I feel like that's intentional.
Yeah, I don't know.
Why else would the FBI delete all their records on it?
So all us YouTube creators are the ones hyper focusing on IGG. And I think that's important. And I understand the SNP is different than STR.
The
I get
defense
it.
is focusing on IGG.
But absolutely, the prosecution and the state is not. They are not defining the difference between the two.
Yes, they are.
They are not. I mean, prove me wrong. Pull up a document showing me where the prosecution says one time that we want to bring this up, this STR up, but not the SNP.
Mike Applegate said, I know what's up, and I trust him.
I hear you, but I mean, please do. Please show me, because the only thing that's going to make me change my mind is a court document.
But there's also interpretation there. They speak in legalese intentionally. Dude, they do that stuff on purpose.
DNA includes all of that. I just don't understand how you're saying they mean this.
Look.
You're building a narrative that was never there. It's just complete fabrication.
It is not fabricated at all. I'm not building a whole narrative that isn't there. Are you kidding?
They didn't say it. They didn't say it.
What are you okay, I'm going to go back and show you some clips. I'm not going to do it right now because it takes some research and pulling things up, but I will prove it.
Yeah. That's all I want. I just want to understand.
Well, I can't do that right here and right now.
I get it. I do. No, I did read them earlier. So I literally am doing a story on this Friday. So I'm 100% sure.
You're doing what story?
Just on this topic. I'm not going to get into it.
On this topic that we're talking about right now?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
So, but please, if you have the prosecution talking about the difference in the two and saying, no, we actually want the STR and not the SNP, please share, you guys. Please do.
So what? You think the state was always going to include the SNP?
No, they didn't want to include any of it. Any of it. There is no fail-safe. There is no backup. There is no anything. And that's why it's absurd.
But do you realize the only documentation they have on the DNA is the STR?
No, I mean, that's not,
all they have.
That's not true. It's not December 1st.
What are you talking about?
December 1st, they are supposed to show all of that. Everything.
The IGG.
Yes.
And Taylor did have the STR match with the buccal swab.
Obviously, that came from ISP.
So IGG was always the only thing missing that Bill Thompson absolutely under no circumstances wanted to turn over.
The document I'm talking about is before that. It's before all of that. They never wanted to include any of it. The reason why it's in the case is the defense.
Maybe.
It is not the prosecution. And that's what I'm suggesting people to please prove me wrong. I want to be proven wrong.
The state never wanted to include any form of DNA in this case whatsoever. But maybe it is pushed by the defense, but I don't know. I don't know.
They didn't.
I don't know. I feel like there was not a shot at all that they weren't going to include it.
Exactly my point. It is strange and it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense at all.
All right. Would you guys like to move on?
We can move on. What were we on?
I don't even remember. That was a really, really, really long tangent.
It was all
away
just
from
to be
Joseph,
right.
Why Derek? Right. Sure.
I'm joking. I honestly don't want to be right because it would make more sense. What I'm saying doesn't make sense. That's the whole point of why it's weird. When it comes to court,
Argued all that for you to say what I'm saying doesn't make any sense.
of course, because I'm talking about the state's decision in how they're working this case. How they're working this case doesn't make sense. There is no other history of a case being worked like that. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
So
right.
I said exactly what I meant. I never misspoke in any of the stuff we were talking about. It's 100.
I know what you mean.
I mean,
you just think too black and white for me. The fact that you're like, okay, because they said before they had the buccal swab in the STR match that they didn't want to include any of the DNA means they were never going to include any of it.
No, they already had all of that.
They did not have the buccal swab.
Yes, they did. Not the buccal swab. They had the STR profile, which was connected
according
via
to them,
the
they had that
SNP.
first. According to them, they had that
Of course,
first.
I know. So which is my whole point. Why it's insane. Because you arrest someone that you believe to be that person. And they had an STR, which was a male, and no confirmation in CODIS. So if they believed that Brian was it, then why would you ever leave that out? I would absolutely be including in my arrest warrant. I would like to arrest him. We have DNA. I believe that we're going to get a match when we arrest him and get a buccal swab and prove that we're going to have a match. Here's the other evidence of why it makes sense to arrest this man.
Can you put the link to Discord in the chat?
Yes. And that's what should have happened, which is my whole argument.
J Ray said they wanted into his apartment. So what? That warrant was a search warrant for his apartment?
I don't remember if it was the search warrant for his apartment or if it was the arrest warrant right now. There's two documents that talk about it, but it's the warrant that it says straight up that we do not want to include the DNA. It's the one everyone talks about where the prosecution says, no limit, generate. But please, I would love to be proved wrong, you guys. This isn't even about me being right or wrong. I don't care. I have no buy-in here. I have no worth in being right. That doesn't matter to me about being right. What's important to me is that the prosecution is working this case in a way that there is no other historical examples. None. Zero. It makes zero sense not to include an STR profile. So then why ask to keep it all out? I would love to know that question. And if there's a document that defines the difference between SNP and STR, that explains it for me 100%. But there isn't. Did that post?
I don't know. J Ray said, or not J Ray, Ian said, what if y'all make this into a poll? If you want us to make it into a poll, tell me what options you would like on the poll.
Yeah, you guys can make it into a poll, but just understand that I don't believe any people. That's not something that's not evidence. Opinion isn't evidence. So, and I hope you guys don't believe me. Please don't. I don't know what I'm talking about half the time.
It can be used.
But I would love a court doc to.
What can't be used to secure a search warrant? DNA?
I mean, by Idaho law, it can be after you've used all the other avenues or whatever.
Wait, so basically what J Ray's saying right now is that they didn't want to include it as evidence because they can't use it to secure a search warrant? But then why mention it at all?
That's my point. That's not what happened. That's not what it is. It specifically asked, this isn't the right document. Suspect or crime.
Yeah, but if IgG can't be used,
I'm looking at the wrong.
Then why did they even say anything about the DNA in that Search warrant. I'm really confused. I guess I'm not reading between the lines right now. Is that the document?
No,
What is that?
I'm not sure. It's the bottom of page. I think this is just a whole bunch of the documents. It's not broken up. This is.
Is this a
Okay.
search warrant for his apartment?
Okay, hang on. That's what it is. Okay, I'm just trying to understand which page here, because there's like 100.
Yeah, there's 50.
And it's
49.
not on 5. It's right. Okay.
It's their way of saying they have a DNA match without using it to secure the search warrant.
Yeah, on what page though?
What page is it on, J. Ray, if you don't mind?
Because I don't see it on 5. It's not 5 unless I'm missing something.
Don Daniels asked it by mistake.
Yeah,
She did not understand the IgG is not the comparison from trash at parents to the sheath. Okay, so she's confused. Just as I am confused. Page 5, CH said.
yeah, I'm on 5.
That's page 3 of 3, so it has to be a different one. Go down. Is that like the first? Yeah, that's the first few pages. Go down.
There isn't.
Go down.
This isn't how the court docs are laid out online, I don't think.
Is that the PCA?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go down.
Yeah, this is
Wait,
just,
that's it, isn't it?
no, that's not it. That's just saying that. So I've been informed. That just says that a sheath was recovered. This isn't the. So hold on.
Right here. That's it. That's it. And that's page 6.
Changes of the court.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But I am specifically asking the court not consider this supplemental disclosure as evidence supporting the existence of probable cause. The reason for this request is that if the DNA test results are held inadmissible at some point, which mind you, when they're saying DNA, they're talking about STR here, such a ruling would not impact the finding of the probable cause for this warrant, so long as this court is satisfied as to probable cause, regardless of the DNA test result. Yeah.
Okay, so that does not say they weren't planning on using the DNA as evidence.
I'm specifically asking the court not to consider the supplemental disclosure as evidence supporting the existence of probable cause.
Okay,
That's asking not to be able to include it as evidence.
No. What she's saying exactly right there, there is no question about it,
Okay.
Is that if
'cause it says the word evidence.
it
so-
says the reason for this request is if the DNA results are held inadmissible at some point,
Yep.
that won't invalidate this search warrant. So they can't go back and say, well, this DNA is admissible, so you didn't have the right to search his apartment.
Yeah, I get that.
So it's like I was saying, it's something to fall back on and be like, look, if this DNA, because we know there's problems with it or something, I don't know, like if they're worried about it, saying, well, if it's inadmissible later, or it's not like, a real match, or something's wrong with it, then this doesn't invalidate our probable
Right.
cause. We had probable cause.
I get it. I get it. They
Okay.
didn't want it.
They were always going to include it as
Included.
evidence. That does not say they weren't going to include it as evidence.
It totally is saying that they don't want to include it as evidence because if something happens with it, we don't want it to mess up our case. That's literally what it says.
That's not what it says.
And it's only talking about STR.
It's not saying that this isn't going to be used at trial. It's not saying that.
I mean, specifically asking the court to not consider the supplemental disclosure as evidence supporting the existence of probable cause.
Okay. I think you have to read both paragraphs to fully understand.
I mean,
this information is being provided to the court pursuant, and this is talking about how it's a 99.998% match. Okay.
Here, we can just show it.
Yeah.
I didn't realize we weren't. Sorry. Hang on.
Yes, exactly. It's saying they don't want to use it as evidence for this search warrant. But they do use it as evidence for the search warrant.
I mean, that is totally not what it says.
Okay, look.
It doesn't say that.
This information is being and they're talking right here about how they got the match, how it's a 99.9998% match.
Yep.
This information is being provided to the court pursuant to my duty and obligation to be fully candid, honest. I do not believe this information is exculpatory for the suspect.
Yeah.
However, if the court believes it's exculpatory, like at some point this DNA is not his, then the court should consider this supplemental disclosure in its evaluation of the existence of probable cause or lack thereof.
Correct. Yep.
But I am specifically asking the court to not consider this supplemental disclosure as supporting the existence of probable cause.
Yep.
So she's saying this should not be included as probable cause for the warrant.
I get that. But you guys are acting like these two things are different. All evidence used in a search warrant and an arrest warrant is included in court. Always.
But
always.
But so she's saying she's providing this information to be honest, but it should not be considered as evidence to get probable cause.
Yo, I hear you. I just don't agree.
But that does not mean
they have different functions, but you cannot issue evidence in an arrest or search warrant and keep that out of court.
They aren't keeping it out of court. They're just keeping it. They're just saying this doesn't support the probable cause. So later on, if this gets found inadmissible, you cannot say that my search warrant didn't have probable cause.
Okay.
Honestly, I feel like this is an admittance of an issue in the DNA, if I'm being honest.
Obviously. All I think you're saying is that I'm right.
No, you're wrong.
We're hearing it different because they're asking, don't include this DNA here. Do not include it. Because
only
we don't
for
have
the search
faith
warrant.
in it.
Only for the search warrant.
Oh, whatever. It doesn't matter. You can't separate the two. There isn't search warrant evidence and then case evidence. Like, there's just evidence. That's it.
Yeah. So what's your point?
because you're trying to say that they're only concerned about the DNA for this search warrant. You get search warrants because of evidence. All that evidence is going to be included in the case.
Yeah. But
except for this one thing, they're saying, no, don't include this. Why bring it up? Like it doesn't make sense.
Agreed.
I'm not going back on what I was saying at all.
No, I agree with you.
The issue is they don't want to bring it up, period.
I agree with you.
all.
This is weird and doesn't make sense. But she brought it up on purpose. Just to say, if it's later ruled inadmissible, it doesn't mess up our probable cause. It's just a part of legal stuff. Like
it's not. Find another case. Find another case where this is done.
It's weird. I know it's weird. And I'm not talking specifically about DNA in this example specifically, but I've seen in other court documents where they will do kind of stuff like that, where they'll bring
never.
Yes, because they're constantly using things as like instructive, and they're constantly bringing things up that seem like they might not have anything to do with something, and then being like,
no, not with DNA
it's
evidence.
legalese.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
No,
I'm saying
this is an oddity. This is an oddity.
A warrant for an arrest.
I think she messed up. I think it's an oddity. I'm just saying that the language here, I feel like, is confusing you.
This doesn't have anything to do with the IGG, and the language isn't confusing me. I understand what you're saying. I think you guys are missing the fact that any evidence included in this is included in court. So why bring it up? Why ask to leave it out? It's already going to be included the second you bring it up. It can't not be. Police are not allowed to do this. They are not allowed to have all this evidence and say, I want evidence 1, 3, 7, and 9 to be included. Leave out 2, 4, 5, and whatever. I don't even remember my numbers. That's not how it works. That is not how it works. And I understand they're doing that. I get it.
So they will bring
and that's why there's a problem.
They will bring up the totality of evidence, okay? But then they can also be like, but this, they can exclude certain things from certain things. They can do that. They can do that.
No, they cannot do that without the agreement of the defense. They cannot. They cannot.
But what I'm saying, that's not even important. I'm not even trying to explain
it is
that.
In play, period.
Agree with you, which I think they knew
and it's
here.
Brought up.
Yeah, yes, you're right.
And asked not to be included as evidence.
Only for the search warrant.
Dude, oh my gosh.
This does not mean they're not using it in the case. Why else would she bring it up at all?
I mean, you tell me. Why? This is like me saying to you guys, hey, I want to tell you a secret, but no, wait, that example is not going to work. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a good one because this is so weird.
No, it's an oddity. No, you're totally right. It's an oddity and it doesn't make sense. Why?
Malia's always right. I'm not even worried about being right, you guys. I'm not. It doesn't change anything. It changes nothing. And there's a reason why Andrea Burkhart said, this is problematic. There's an issue here. They only do this if they're hiding or lying about something. I don't agree that they're trying to hide or lie anything. I just think they didn't want any DNA in. And now, since the defense called them on their BS, they have no choice but to bring it in. They can't not bring it in because it makes them look bad. That's my opinion. I do not think that this was some kind of slide just to search his apartment. They had that. They didn't even need to bring up the DNA. Not at all.
That's why it's yeah.
If they wanted to just search his apartment, that whole section would not have been included. It would not have been included. You can't add evidence to a search warrant or arrest warrant and not include it in court. It is in play. 100%.
I don't think what they're. I think the difference of I think we pretty much agree on a lot, but that I don't think this is saying they weren't going to include it in court. I don't think that was the point of this.
I do. I
think that's where we disagree specifically is that you think this means that they were trying to not include it as evidence in court. But what I don't think this says that at all. I think that they are including it kind of, but also trying to backtrack and say, well, if later this gets found out as like not an okay thing, like it doesn't match, you can't say we didn't have probable cause. It's like a sleight of hand is what it is.
It doesn't change anything for me. Nothing. It doesn't change anything. The second they said DNA and we found this, it's game. So why ask to keep it out? It is a pointless paragraph. It should have either never been brought up or they should have played it out, because the second they said it in this document, it is not just for a search warrant, you guys. It is in play once the arrest happens.
Yeah, but,
that is it.
Yeah, but she is totally saying it's specifically for probable cause for the search warrant. She's not saying trial.
But okay. I understand that's what the words say, but that's not how court works.
Well, now you're not taking it at face value.
No, I'm not, because there are standards of how court works.
Well, you were just telling me to take the documents at face value. You were telling me that I shouldn't
I'm not
explain for her.
You're manipulating that, because I'm not saying they're saying something different. When evidence is brought up, everybody gets to use it in court. It is in court. That is it. It is part of the evidence pool.
Yeah.
Right.
But she's specifically narrowing it to, okay, say it is evidence at court, okay? It's evidence at court. But later on, somehow it gets ruled inadmissible by the judge. And then the defense goes back and says, well, you use this as a probable cause for this search warrant, his arrest, this and this and this. So now all of that is not okay. You didn't have probable cause, so you need to let my client go.
I hear you. And I understand.
So she's trying to make that not happen.
I understand that, but that's not allowed. That is illegal, and that's the point.
Maybe it is.
It is 100% illegal. You cannot say, hey, judge, I want to tell you this one piece of evidence about this person just to arrest them, but it's not actual evidence. Just kidding when it comes to court. No. What are you talking about? That is illegal. That is not allowed. And I am not asking, I'm not saying that they're making up some additional information. You cannot do that. You can't.
Yeah, but I think they were always going to use it as evidence. I don't think they were going to say this can't be evidence. I think she's literally saying if it gets ruled as not evidence, then you can't go back and say our search warrant was invalid.
I think we have a difference of intention, because I don't think it says that. And there is nothing that is going to make, unless there's a document that comes up saying, hey, we were only talking about the SNP and not the STR, which clearly, I mean, what you were saying earlier doesn't apply here because it is the STR. But it's not going to change my mind unless a court document comes out and says different. They had no idea that this was going to be a match to Brian. None.
Included the DNA.
Yeah, I get it.
Okay, so why would it be in the PCA if they're not going to include it as evidence in court?
What do you mean?
Because you're saying they never planned on using it as evidence in court.
Yeah.
They never wanted to. The defense had nothing to do with that PCA. So there's your evidence.
I guess.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
That doesn't change that this is still saying the same thing.
What?
Okay, this is setting themselves up to be able to have an out where this still applies, like you were saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
But then that out applies to everything in court. We're creating the separation between the search warrant and evidence in court. But once it's stated in a document, unless it is changed, that history, that statement, it applies, period. So I don't remember what the exact terms are in the PCA, but
they are that it's evidence. They found an STR. It's evidence. They found a sheath. They got an STR match from the ISP state lab. It's evidence. They were always going to include it, in my opinion.
okay.
And that's before Ann Taylor ever being on the case.
Yeah, I need to reread that portion.
So I think it is a weird sleight of hand, and I think it's messed up. I agree with you on that 100%.
Yeah.
I think there's nothing okay about this, regardless of who's right. I think we both agree that this isn't okay.
Well, yeah, it's just straight up illegal. It's already in. Nothing has. I'm not arguing to be right.
No, and I'm unsure of like how we should go about debates in the future, because it seems like people get like really like, I don't know, invested. I hope you guys are just as passionate as us, because I saw like some people are like, yeah, I'm out of here. I this is too much. I'm getting a headache. Which I mean it's
our
different.
views are going up. But
It's different than our normal content, I guess. Typically, like, we don't usually debate much, but I find a lot of interest, in these conversations, because we're all look. Every single one of you that is watching this right now, along with us, are filtering all of this information through our own filter, forming our own opinions. And I think it's really helpful for us to share those and actually have a conversation and work it out. You know what I mean? Because I did not have a full understanding on this completely until I read it.
yeah, I still
And
don't.
sat here and worked it out in my head. Now I feel like I understand it a lot better.
I'm not refusing to admit I'm wrong. I'm wrong way more than I'm right, you guys.
No.
Do I ever have a problem admitting I'm wrong? Dude, yeah, right. That's not true. The second you were able
No.
to say the PCA, I said, okay,
No,
done.
No, I think you're okay with admitting that you're wrong.
I
you
honestly
don't
think I'm wrong more
look,
than I'm right.
So look, to a normal person,
It's not right
because you
now.
are an alien, okay? To a normal person, they want you to say, I'm wrong.
I mean,
If you
I'll
don't-
say I'm wrong.
No, you don't make a big deal out of being wrong, though. That's what's weird.
No, I don't. I don't care. I don't need people to think I'm right. As long as I know I'm right, that's all I care about.
Look, to most people, being wrong, it does feel like a bigger deal, but you don't care so much that you're not like, okay, I was wrong, guys. He doesn't do that. He'll just be like, okay, yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, all day. I'm wrong. It doesn't bother me at all.
That's
I don't have any ego, you guys. You'll see. You'll see.
No.
If you don't believe it based on that conversation, you'll see. So I believed that until the PCA information, which I need to go back and reread, but I'll admit I'm wrong all day long. I'm probably wrong 90% of the time.
No, it is not Malia and chat versus Brendan.
No, it is.
What?
It is.
No.
Why? I'm the one who can handle it. I want the chat on your side. Because no one can hurt my feelings. That's just not possible.
All right. But yes, Tony, my number one fan.
Yes.
It was Monday. He popped in chat and was like, your favorite tier, Malia.
Yeah, of course, J Ray. I've already admitted it like 10 times. If it's in the PCA, which I need to go back and read. I know it's in your document, but everyone's complaining how long we've been on this. But yeah. I'm wrong because Ann Taylor wasn't involved in that time.
No. Nobody was trying to hurt his feelings.
No, I don't think anyone was trying to hurt my
and
feelings.
even if they
I'm
did
just
try, he
saying that
wouldn't care.
if everyone ganged up on me, there's nothing that could be said that would hurt my feelings. But some other people are touchy on that kind of stuff, so it doesn't bother me. I would rather have everybody against me than everyone back me against Malia.
So
'Cause
you're trying to
I'm
protect
good.
me?
Yeah,
Okay. Well, that's nice of you, I
Yeah.
guess.
because I can handle it.
Do you think I'm gonna go cry in a corner if everybody gangs up on me?
No, but I think that it's different. I just worry what people can say because of how society. I'm not even going to get into that.
Okay, we
Yeah.
won't get into it.
But yeah,
He's worried about me.
I have no problem saying I'm wrong.
No, people on the internet can be really, really mean, and he's just being protective, I guess. While calling me out.
I wasn't calling you out at all.
Oh, you were definitely calling me out on the FBI stuff, though.
I was.
Yeah,
I don't think I was.
you were.
I
But
don't
it
think
was
I
good.
was.
It was good, though. I think it was a good conversation. I thought a lot of people that watched that Bicca Barlow video actually really liked that.
Yeah, what was your opinion? I think that
I can't rule out the FBI being corrupt in this case.
I think my point was that it was a flawed argument with get a clue, a biased argument. I don't think that
I'm a little biased towards the FBI too, though. I will admit it. I am a little bit. A little bit. The history of the FBI, it bothers me.
Yeah.
It bothers me. It does. It worries me. It concerns me.
Yeah, not me.
Yeah, not you at all.
That's to me that's super messed up. That's sins of the father.
I don't want to generalize because I think it's just like regular police officers, and that there's going to be good and bad in every organization, and you can't just call it all bad. You cannot.
I mean,
But
that's what that does.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
for sure.
No, because I mean, but
because the FBI
but
did things that were wrong in the past. I need allergy medicine or something. Because the FBI did things wrong in the past, that means they're doing things wrong now.
Yeah, and
that's
you're
literally
like
sins of the father.
Yeah, but okay, so you're of the mind that we should trust until we see problems, right? We should trust
I don't
police
think anyone should do that. That's just what I do.
Okay.
But I don't think it's a good idea for anyone to do what I do. I think everyone needs to make their own decisions.
You saying by not going off of the corruption in the past, because all I'm saying is that I just don't trust an organization just because they're an organization. Like, just because they're the FBI I'm not just going to trust them.
Yeah.
But I feel like you are until you see evidence, which is what you're saying.
Yeah.
And then you're saying I'm flawed in that.
I think that's a flawed argument. I do, because that is including everybody.
But it doesn't, because all I'm saying is there's a possibility. I don't know. All I'm saying is I don't know, but I can't say absolutely for certainty that there's no way that's possible.
Yeah, I'm just black or white. You either think that someone is doing something shady or you trust that they're not.
Thank you, Art. Did you say thank you?
No, I didn't. We appreciate that, Art. Thank you so much.
Yes, we really appreciate that. Yeah, that's totally true, Mike. Thank you for saying that.
Dude, you guys, this is normal conversation. That's why I think people don't understand that we weren't worked up. This isn't.
No, we
this
were
is
trying
not
to figure
us
it
worked
out.
up, you guys.
No,
trust me.
You haven't seen us argue.
Yeah.
Like for real argue. You never have seen it.
Yeah. Yeah. But stuff like this doesn't make me angry. Unless it's a good show, then I'll pretend to be angry like I'm losing my mind.
The flower vase bridge.
Yeah. Yeah, tonight's show is absolutely a fail. We both did funky stuff.
You called it be sins of the father?
Yeah, I think that by looking at the FBI and saying that because they did this during MLK, they must be dirty now. That's sins of the father. That's literally the definition of it.
Why is that ew? Why is everyone saying that's ew? I'm confused.
I don't
Does that
know.
just sound weird or something?
Maybe, but
But that's a normal term, I think, right?
yeah, it is a normal term.
I'm ready for the call-in line. Oh, people are ready to call in and argue.
Oh, me too. Me too. You know how fun that'll be?
So AR asks if there's a different way to donate, like other vendors like Cash App or Facebook Pay.
YouTube or Patreon here.
Doesn't Facebook have a donate button or something? But I don't think we have one.
Yeah, it's stickers.
Yeah, but they also have a tip button now, but I don't think we have one.
Yeah, dirty. I love debating like that. I don't think I can explain to everyone that's what I enjoy. I think everyone sees our reactions and think we're getting mad, but that's where I want to be. I want to be debating like that with people. I enjoy that a ton, and it's not something I get to do at work. When I'm a salesperson, dude, I have to always be composed. You know what I mean? So there is no like buy into what I'm saying like that.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make me mad, angry. It doesn't do anything. It's just that when I believe something, the only way you're going to get me to change my mind is with evidence.
Yeah, thank you, Tennessee. I appreciate that. So for the people who it stresses you out when we are debating something, let us know if there's a way, because I was questioning this earlier.
What?
Like, because of the whole debate we had on the FBI, I was like, I feel like that could come across as us very frustrated, okay? And people are going to take that as fighting. And for some people, yeah, I think it's triggering, and I think that it can stress you out. And I know there's some people who voiced it in the chat, and I don't want you guys to feel left out. Like,
no.
I don't want it to turn you away, okay? So is there a way we can present debate that doesn't stress you out? Because honestly, I don't know if I've ever seen a debate that isn't that way.
Yeah.
Like the presidential debates, oh my gosh. They are way worse than us. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
but I don't even
political debates,
I
other
agree
debates,
with
they're
you.
high intensity, passion, they get dirty, okay? They get real dirty. So, like, is there a way?
Yeah, you're right, Ian. It is the repetitiveness. I agree with you, and I was feeling that same way. That's why I try to explain too that I know myself enough to know that I will not change my mind when I'm in that mode unless I see evidence. It just won't happen. We're better off agreeing to disagree unless we can pull up evidence in that situation.
So it needs to be a planned debate.
No, it doesn't need to be a planned debate.
I mean, that's the only way.
In my opinion, for me, that wasn't a debate because when I'm debating someone, I don't have their best interest at heart. So I'm going to use tactics that give me the upper hand. That was just like a passionate conversation, in my opinion.
Yeah, I know that you're right. I mean, we do glance at the chat, but the issue is we cannot sit here and read through all of it and put on a good show. That's the only problem. Because I did see some of your comments, Danny. But it's impossible to read through all that information, you know what I mean, and then fact check and then make sure that we're also putting on a good show. It's just really hard. So we definitely glance at the chat and try to pay attention to it as much as we can.
Yeah.
And I appreciate your information because it definitely helped.
Yeah.
We enjoy all of your input, but it's really hard to, like, you know, do all of that.
Yeah.
Because, like, anybody can say anything too, you know? So.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
I think that was the whole point of it. And that's why a lot of people get offended when you tell them like, hey, I'm not going to believe what you say unless you show me evidence. You know how many people have gotten offended by that statement in my life? But I feel like that's how everyone should be.
yeah,
I don't want people to believe me. Don't believe me. Do not believe me. Did we miss something, Tony?
Yeah.
All right, Tony, we appreciate that.
Yes, thank you.
Yep.
Can you highlight AR's comment?
Okay. Kiki should be up here in a minute. So I want to show y'all something. Oh, wait, there she is. Wait a minute. Hang on.
Hi. I was wondering, I was like backstage and
I was like, I don't know how to nobody to stage. Okay, look, I just found something that I want to put up here. Wait a minute. So, and I'm not good at all this, so, you know, but I couldn't remember what year Brian Koberger's car was. I literally asked them and they ignored me like I was supposed to remember, because I did not go down that rabbit hole with that stupid car, because as soon as everybody started doing it, I was like, no, there's something wrong with this shit. This is not, that car got on my nerves, but hang on.
tell me about it.
Okay, stop that screen. Okay, hang on. We're going to share this screen, I think. Okay.
By the way, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you? Where did
Good.
my cars go? Okay. Let me make this bigger. Do y'all see these two cars? This is a 2015 Honda Elantra. That's a Mazda, what the hell ever that is, a Mazda 3. Because I looked up the cars that were similar to the 2015 Elantra in looks. Y'all gotta wait a minute. I gotta find where I'm at. Okay, let me make this bigger. Ta-da. Ta-da. Okay. Do y'all see that little thing going down the red side of that car right there? That's the same stupid thing that's going down the side of that car right there.
Oh yeah, like I don't know what to call it.
Whatever Jeff calls the thing going down the side right there. Let me see the other ones. Let me see. Let me tell y'all the other cars.
Wow, you got a lot of people in the chat. It's hopping. I had to step away while I was getting ready to come on stage.
You're good.
I mean, one thing now, what year Elantra am I?
2015. That's a 2015 Mazda too.
I was going to say, okay. They have such different headlights, almost like taillights. Like they could probably.
Yeah, and we can't see the tail light. That's the thing. Like the stuff that is comparison to them, we cannot see in that picture.
One thing that's similar about them is that rear passenger side window, the shape of it, the way it comes to a tip at the end, that's a lot like the Elantra. It is similar. I did do a lot of studying of the Elantra when that was going on. And I think we're going to do a lot more of it when the trial comes.
If I could spell today. Okay.
Let's see, turn this up.
Chevy Cruze, Mazda 3 are the two main ones, which that Chevy Cruze does not look like no damn. Oh, that's a Bolt. Never mind. That's why. Chevy Bolt does not look like that. It does not look like a Mazda Elantra, but the Chevy Cobalt and that Mazda 2015 look like the Elantra, and it's got the same thing on the side. But that's the only thing you can see. And that car that they have a picture of, to me, looks like a two-door car. And it looks like it could have a sunroof if the light wasn't shining on it, which I'm absolutely sure that's why they chose that pick, because you can't freaking tell if there is a sunroof or not.
You mean the one that they just released in those recently released documents?
Yeah, and remember that one car that was going around that they kept on saying looked like it was a two-door car and had a sunroof.
Talking about the BMW?
I guess. I don't know what kind of car it was, but
You know, I did a video on that. It does have a ton of similarities, and it does have the sunroof. I do think that the BMW.
But I just don't understand how they're going to use that car, as that still does not tell a jury anything. We have a capital case, and we still can't see anything. And so they're using the seatbelt ticket for what? Are they still going to try to use? I cannot wait. Are they still going to try to use that to identify the car from that night? Because I just don't think that's going to work well.
I can't imagine. I mean, they say that it's for identification purposes. So you're thinking, okay.
And it's not because it's Brian Kohberger, and not because I love Brian Kohberger. I don't know Brian Kohberger. If he's innocent, then no, we don't need to be putting him in a firing squad. There's too many other questions. And if nobody can see these other questions, then I don't know what the hell y'all been reading when y'all read the 911 call or the text, because I'm just not sure what's going on here. I don't think we should not be all that different. Like, there are people, even in mainstream media, that are coming around, and I've looked and they're like, wait, this stuff is not making sense. And then when they go read the documents, they're like, holy shit, Nancy Grace is lying to us. All these people are lying to us. I'm like, yeah, I love it. You can stream this on, you should be streaming it on your channel too, Kiki, because I put it where you could.
Oh, you did? I might actually go.
Yeah, you can stream it on yours. Yeah. I don't like, because your numbers, like, I don't, not that I just don't care about my numbers, but I'm saying though, like, that way, yeah, because you can stream it to yours.
Well, I think what I'm gonna do is stream it to my my new channel, if that's okay. Do you mind?
I don't care where you stream. I don't care where you stream it. I should have. Let me fix the name. That way they know. Hang on. Uh-oh.
I'm typing it in now. That's
Forgot
cool.
about your
Thank
new
you
channel.
so much. That's sweet.
I forgot about your new channel.
All right, there's that. Let me hit save. Cool. Oh, well. Get some views on the new channel. That's great. Yeah, so I don't know. With the newly released 911 transcript, I just feel that anyone who's not asking questions probably hasn't read the transcript is my first.
And the DNA stuff, and Miss Potts just did something about the DNA. Y'all, I didn't hear her because I was trying to do this, and I didn't want to be like I went and liked her stream though. But what was she saying? What was on that or what document was she reading? I got two pulled up, but I'm not sure which one she was reading. She was saying something wasn't even swabbed, which I knew that was coming. I was waiting on that to come.
You know, I stopped in to say hi, but I have to be part of the replay crew when it comes to Miss Potts today, just because I had so much work. Maybe the chat knows.
That's why I was saying, somebody in chat, Christy, I think, was paying attention over there. Christy, put her Capri channel up here, please, because that's the one she's streaming it to. I probably confused everybody. Hey, Angel. Motion Lemony 2, 6, and 11. Is that right, Heather? I probably don't have them up. Blah, blah, blah.
Lighting, because I am so pale. We need to
I was going to say, yeah, if you want to be on camera, you can be. I have no makeup on. I'm not fixing to be on camera.
Well, I try. You know what I try? I just feel like I'm trying to connect with someone, and my freaking light won't turn on. That's weird. Oh boy.
You can be the pretty face today. I'm not fixing to be. I'm not anyway, but that's the side of it. But
Just a friendly face is what I think people. All right, I turned on some lighting. I don't think it's gonna help much, but
oh yeah, I got to order some lighting or something.
yeah, I mean, I used to like softbox and get like all these things going, but just keeping it simple lately.
I know it's too much.
Yeah, so hold on. I did prepare to talk about a couple things, and they did have sort of.
Go ahead.
I mean, so okay. The first thing is, so like to all my viewers, I'm sure like when you see the 911 call, I'm sure it brings up questions for you. So there's a lot of different topics that we could talk about, but I want to just focus in on like one thing that I found confusing or disturbing. Let me turn off my camera because it's like glitching out. I don't know what's up with that. Hold on, let me put on my hat. There we go. All right, let me try and, this is better. All right, now I feel a little more comfortable. I've got a disguise on. So when I read the 911 calls, I could talk about this for hours, but I'm just like want to focus on one point. So the first point I want to focus on is when we see, when we read that they're approaching the room where they're about to check Xana. Xana's the unconscious person. They, we hear all these accounts and we hear nobody saying anything about blood, crime scene, whatever. Like nobody's indicating that they see anybody else. They don't indicate that they see Ethan. They don't indicate that there's a crime scene there. Whether that's redacted or not, we don't know. It could be in there and just have been taken out. We don't know. But it doesn't look like it if we're seeing like the actual document that got redacted, unless they gave us a copy of a copy. Also, well, I'll get to that speculating. Well, okay. Another speculation that was had is that if the 911 call was released, maybe there's like background noise we don't hear. And one of the things we might not hear is in the accounts from Richard Batanti, the private investigator that that was hired by the defense of Brian Kohlberger, early accounts, and they weren't just rumors, they were literally published, where the Batanti found out that Bethany, the first floor roommate, actually was the one who discovered Kaylee and Maddie. So what I'm getting at is there could have been like a lot going on in the background. We don't know. So what's really interesting about that is we have somebody who was like willing to go on record and talk about the crime scene during this gagged case. And that was the cleanup crew that did the biohazard cleanup for the crime scene. Now, the owner of the company did not sign an NDA. So although all the techs did, the owner was able to talk a little bit freely about it and wouldn't say much. But I'm just gonna, so trigger warning, some of these quotes are just horrendous. But his, or I don't know if it's a Gen G, I guess it's a girl. Her exact quote was, Xana and Ethan fought for their fucking lives. She also said that it was the worst biohazard job they had ever done. Now, when somebody walks into a crime scene, it is not unheard of for them to not see any blood. It's definitely like a symptom of shock, right? But 4 people minimum walking into that crime scene in shock and not seeing blood, like how is that possible on this 911 call if we're seeing everything? It's not. It's not. Especially when you hear the accounts from that person who did owned the biohazard cleanup team. Now, so just stick with me on this as I keep going. So are we good, Trisha? Am I hijacking your live stream?
No, go ahead. You're good.
All right. So I want to bring up another thing. So some people might be like, okay, well, Kathy Mabbitt, right? Kathy Mabbitt said that their faces were frozen, something along these lines, that they were like frozen in time, or they looked alive, or they still looked precious, or something. I don't remember exactly what it was. But Kathy Mabbitt said that they looked like untouched, right? I had problems like when I initially heard Kathy Mabbitt coming on the news, but I felt maybe I'm being critical, and I don't want to be that I don't like. There's people who do things in their local government, in their community. I have like a hesitation to attack them just because it takes, you don't make $1 million doing that. And it's, nobody's perfect. So I didn't want to attack her because it kind of appeared as somebody uncomfortable on camera, who maybe wasn't used to the spotlight, who maybe was instructed to say some things, and it came across wrong. But she said things that just were like so contradictory to even the basic information that we had. Like, for instance, that they were asleep when it all happened, when we knew already from like the rumors that Xana had these like defensive wounds, right? And so now I'm thinking like, did they know they were going to hold off on releasing this 911 call from the beginning? Is there like something in it really big? Because she did look really nervous. And she said their faces looked angelic. But then, like, I'm not going to read everything, but Meg P dropped this article in Discord this morning, and I'm not going to read it here. Maybe I'll read it later, but on my channel or something. But basically, Kathy Mabbitt has like a history of not the greatest. She apparently pronounced someone dead who is alive. So I'm not here to bash her, but I'm just saying, like, there's not a flipping chance in hell that the defense isn't going to bring that up in trial. And I just found that out today. And so in conclusion, let's see. Oh, so so first off, I'm bringing it to the chat. Am I totally out of line here? Like, do you think that Gen G, I mean, I've even brought Gen G, Jeff H, just so you know, I brought this, Viviana has basically confirmed. This is a real company. Multiple people have tracked this company, tracked the Facebook post. This is a real post of her explaining the crime scene. And then we have this 911 call released stating that nobody sees shit, you know, like, so I bring it to the chat. Like, what do you think of that? Do you think that this is a true contradiction that I'm bringing up, or is there something that I'm missing here? And about Kathy Mabbitt, like, do you think that this is something the defense is going to bring up? Kathy Mabbitt mispronounced somebody dead who was alive. And then to just bring you back and like reestablish this question with you. Well, I kind of did. So, I mean, I bring it to you, Trisha. Thank you, chat, for letting me rant for a little bit and talk about what I'm thinking about this morning, and let me know your thoughts.
Well, they know my thoughts. I think it's staged, because I don't know how you don't know. The police walked in and literally said, I think we have a homicide. I mean, he probably should have just said, yeah, we have a homicide. But I mean, he walks in and says that. They walked in and said the smell was so bad. So to me, they were passing around the phone. If you are upset, you're not passing around the phone. You are hyperventilating, talking about, oh my God, what's going on here? These people are passing around the phone like a hot potato, hollering, not me, not me. I'm not saying nothing. Nope, nope, not me. And that's what they're doing. That's all they're doing, is passing around the phone to not say whatever. And there's no way they did not look. The first thing I'm going to do is, if I see that, Xana, Ethan, whatever they saw, I'm fixing to go to Kaylee and Maddie's room and find out what the heck, especially since I'm remembering that I saw some masked man in my house last night. So, you know, that's just weird to me. I'm sorry. I can't make that make sense. There's nothing.
Okay. So, I mean, okay. If the commotion was so great that the neighbor came over before the 911 call started, like, what caused the commotion that caused the neighbor to come over? Like, if it was so, these are just the questions. I'm just like trying to, like, you know, freely think here. So if the neighbors saw this commotion and they came over before the 911 call, so this is before any discovery, there was the commotion. So it's like, what was the commotion going on, and why were they giving commotion? Were they waking up and remembering from last night to the point where they freaked out so much that the neighbor came over, but they didn't call 911 and Dylan called her dad? The chain of events doesn't make sense and doesn't make a circle. So as humans, we try to make a full circle with our thoughts. And when that doesn't happen, we keep repeating the thought or trying to figure it out, you know, so like we keep hearing all these different ideas of what happened. And I think, I mean, I hear a lot of people say, like, okay, well, this is it. This is all the evidence we're going to see about Brian Kohlberger. We've all seen it, that, you know, but I know there's more, because I know there's redactions in there. I also know that there's a forensic download to Xana's phone that sets up this timeline. And when I see the way the 911 call is transcript, I want to know the way Xana's phone is transcript. And then furthermore, I want to know, how deep did they go with these warrants? Did they go ahead and get the metadata that proved that Xana was the one holding that phone, making that TikTok? And people can say, well, she's the only one with access. She's the only one who had like a password, but she probably had Face ID. I'm not trying to be like gratuitous or anything, but like if there's an unaliver, I mean, it's not, you can use Face ID. I'm just saying, like as an investigator, we're taught or I'm taught, because I never followed the case till this one, by the investigative, like ex-law enforcement, that the first thing you do when you go into a crime scene is you look to see if things were staged. So when they look at Xana's TikTok or they look at her DoorDash order, are they looking at it in its totality, bringing up that metadata? You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's like my first question. Sorry, I keep hijacking your live stream because I'm in like a mood today. I don't know.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, because you have a lot better points than I have, because your brain is different. I'm just like, none of this makes sense. But I didn't even think about those questions. But I was asking Christy because Mitch Girl posted something in Discord saying something. I was trying to figure out where that come from. I've never heard it either. But something about linking Abby and Libby, the Delphi thing, together. And hang on, what did that say? Wait a minute. Let me go over here and tell you.
Like cult stuff?
I don't know. It says single unspent bullet found at crime scene, police say. Moscow police revealed that a singular unspent bullet has been recovered from 1122 King Road in Moscow. I don't know when this was posted or where she got it from, so y'all just saw alleged. I'm just reading what I posted on Discord. For 2 weeks, police have been searching for a white Honda Elantra, which was spotted in the immediate area of the student home at the time of the murders on November 13th. However, it has been revealed that there have now been a match to a gun that has cycled this particular round. On Wednesday, police confirmed that they are currently working with police in Indiana to confirm a possible link between these murders of Abigail Williams and Libby German. I've never heard that, but has anybody else heard that?
No, but that's like insanity. I never heard anything more to that. Further about like a spent shell casing, like, okay, so we're all different, and I understand probably a larger percentage of the population lives in like metropolitan areas. But if you're someone like me who grew up rurally, or you're someone from the country, like a spent bullet casing, they're like I'm sure I could find one like right in the new house. I've only been in 3 years. I've never fired a gun here, and it's just I don't know. And I'm a really tidy person. I don't like hoard knickknacks or anything like that. But I mean, it's kind of a common thing, and it's like I don't know. And they're keepsakes. Like if you go out on a trip or something like that, like I don't know. Like it doesn't seem that uncommon to have a spent bullet casing. I wonder where it was found. Was it found out on the ground? Was it found like in someone's drawer? Was it found like in their purse?
Yeah, I don't know, because I haven't heard of a bullet in Moscow. And Jeff, yes, that was talking about Delphi too, but they were saying whatever was posted there, I don't know where it come from. That's why I just said I was just reading what was said there. Somebody posted in our Discord, but they were saying that at Moscow there was a spent at the house or whatever, I don't know where, that the police found an unspent bullet. I'm not sure. I didn't hear of any of that. I've not heard of any of that. I have no idea. I don't think it's been in any documents, so I don't know.
Somebody got the Delphi case confused with the Idaho case, if you ask me.
Well, that could be too. That's what I was saying. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Heather's comment, a phone being used is not proof of life. That's kind of like my point, Heather, is like, I wonder how deep the warrants went, because what they could do is get the metadata, which like the way you tilt your phone, the tilt is unique to you. It's almost, they say, statistically more unique than fingerprints. But did they really even do that? Like, did they get the tilt on the phone? Do they know it was Xana holding it? Because your courier can tell if it's you holding it, an app can tell, and they can sell that information too. It's actually frequently sold by Google, allegedly, because it's so specific. Like you could grab a random burner phone and the metadata on that burner phone could tell it was you. Technically, so they say. I don't know. I'm just a housewife, you guys. I don't know anything. So that's my point, is like, did they actually prove it was Xana through the metadata, or did they just get it? And I don't know if they even do that, but I know they have the capability of doing that, because I mean, not even from covering true crime, just from watching like forensic files, like, right? I mean,
Yeah, and that's just like they said. That's why I said about the frat people. The boy, because there's two different stories. I read one of the stories that said that Jack D and that other dude and his friend Lurch and that other dude, whatever the heck his name is. Anyways, but the thing is the other 4chan thing we read said that those guys left their phone on YouTube at the frat house. So I want to know, and I know that it's on 4chan, but you can't just you're supposed to take anything with an investigation. You're supposed to look at it, especially how detailed that was and everything else. I want to know what those guys' phones was doing and if they were streaming YouTube and sitting in one spot, because if they were, we may have a problem there. So, I mean, it's real easy to, and if they haven't done that, that's stupid. And that's the first thing, if I was Ann Taylor, I'd be like, okay, did y'all do, I want to know what their phones was doing, because that would be the first thing I would ask.
Yeah, if they corroborate their alibi by simply just like making sure they were on YouTube or something, if you're to take it to that, it's like taking it to the level where you could be tricked rather than just like investigating it. Like that'd be insane. I don't even know if they should be accepting their alibi without like further corroboration than like their electronic activity. There should be more. There should be a ring cam of them coming home to this.
Yeah, and that would be easy, because if all of their phones are literally streaming YouTube for however long they were there, like, and they left it there, then that's, I mean, that's your first problem there. So I wonder if they did that and they were streaming and they just said, nope, we're not going there.
Trisha, I am like, when it comes to the 4chan and the thread that you're talking about, that specific user, I don't know, you know, and I'm just speculating. Of course, it's just a guess, but this is just after my years, you know, whatever it is, 2 years and like, what are we at now? 2 years, 5 months covering this case. I mean, my opinion that I have formed is basically that was law enforcement. And I know it's extremely graphic and gross, but if you're going to catch an unaliver, you're not going to be like a snowflake. You know what I mean? You're going to be gross. You're going to say the gross triggering things that's going to make the unaliver respond back to you. So I think it's law enforcement, because you know what? We didn't see any warrants for 4chan, did we?
No, but the thing is like, did they just not go down that route? Because, you know, did they investigate any of those frat guys good? Like, you know, even if it's just said, if you've got that many phones or you've got that much detail in something, even if it was law enforcement, I wouldn't see law enforcement actually throwing the frats in there like the way they did and the names like that detailed, because that's like detailing people.
But
I mean, you know, it's literally detailing them.
No, I totally agree with you. And that's why I hesitated for so long to think it was law enforcement. And we might not even have seen everything yet, but I'm pretty sure we have seen all the warrants. This is the thing, though, is that I just don't believe in coincidences. And there's just that user knew about Brian Kohlberger's location. So the options are super limited. The options are coincidence, divine intervention, and I don't think God's going to intervene on this, or it was BK interjecting himself in a gratuitous way into the case because he knew, or it was law enforcement, or option 4, somebody was trying to pin it on Brian and they knew he lived in Idaho, but who would do that and why? And so the real point I'm getting at is, like, say any of what we're saying is true. That was known on the 7th. So if it did have involvement for law enforcement, how the F did they get to Brian Kohlberger? Because
Heather said that they've done that on 4chan before. Have they used people's name like that though, Heather? Like the FBI? She said that the FBI has solved cases by portraying a perp in 4chan previously. Which I think Papa Rogers was. I mean, I do think that was law enforcement. But is that who put the 4chan stuff up too?
Papa Rogers. Oh my God. I don't know. I would tend to lean to Papa Rogers being law enforcement. But
yeah, I do think he is, or she, or whatever the hell.
When it comes to 4chan, though, I'm like literally watching this IGG being said in the paperwork that law enforcement got the name on the 19th. That's when I started, just out of frustration, really starting to be critical of that 4chan and thinking it was just a sick and shitty law enforcement tool.
And I didn't use the dates either. I didn't look at the dates. So you have. So that's the difference too.
Especially when you say, okay, I got the 7th wrong. It was the 12th. The 7th was when Fry, no, I'm flipping those dates. The 12th is when Fry came around in the Pennsylvania U-Haul van. So, I mean, how that like even just like makes me bolster the argument that it was very likely law. And I'm not arguing with you, just in my head, like the argument about it probably being law enforcement, just trying to be like objectively analyzing everything. I don't know if the chat agrees. I should probably turn to the chat.
Oh no, that's probably right. It's because I didn't look at the dates. See, that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of things in my brain I never think about. That was stupid. I should have looked at the dates, but I didn't. I was just saying with them being so detailed. But if they're the same dates like that, then yeah, probably it's probably law enforcement, or law enforcement set somebody up to say that crap, something.
Yeah. And don't forget, on the 13th, on the 13th, Christy Gonzalez said she heard Brian Koberger's name from law enforcement. They were like, quote unquote, swirling it around. So there's another indication they knew it before the 19th. And then to top the cherry on the top is the fact that the grand jury likely convened a week after the unalivings, which likely means they had Brian Koberger's name, because in those subpoenas, those 71 federal grand jury subpoenas that they didn't want to provide copies for, they just wanted to provide like the scope of what was in them, Brian Koberger's name was on them. So if that happened a week after the unalivings, yeah, like I don't know why the defense is being led down the path of thinking that it's the 19th. And are they just reiterating saying that it's the 19th so that they can get the prosecution in a trap? Jeff, tell me how you disagree. Sorry. I'm talking too much. I'm caffeinated and I know I only have about 30 minutes with you, so I'm just trying to get it all out.
No, go ahead. You're fine. And that's what I was saying. Like at the press conferences, I'm trying to find it. It may be the first one that we can watch just a little bit or tomorrow, whatever. But I do want to go back and watch these because I'm telling y'all that I remember Fry sitting there. This is when I started calling him Elmer Fudd. It was probably the first one because literally they're telling him, don't say that or don't say that. And then he changed. Like, it's so obvious whatever he's doing. And I was like, what the freak is going on here? Like, it's been weird ever since then. I was like, I was so confused about what was going on because those press conferences were like almost, y'all, this whole case has almost been too stupid to even be going on. And I'm not being disrespectful. I'm just saying this shit, where do they do this stuff at? Where do they do this stuff at? I'm telling y'all, I cannot. And now we have the defense and the freaking prosecution agreeing on the IGG. So are they just going to use a buccal swab now, Heather? Anybody? Because I'm confused about this. But why would I'm confused about why the defense would agree. So anybody that knows over here, because I'm all the way confused at what the freak is going on now with that.
Oh, I don't know. But back to the press conferences. Let's just okay. So Fry, I think we can safely say, well, there's two reasons I think Fry lost his re-election campaign, if I'm going to be completely intellectually honest. One of the reasons he lost his re-election campaign is because he is a Republican who decided to run as a third party, which classically speaking completely throws off the ticket for your party. If you run as a third party and not that primary political party you belong to. So there's that. He was already siphoning the vote, so to speak, allegedly, in my opinion. And the number one argument for Fry's election campaign for sheriff was his handling of the press with the Idaho 4. And the biggest grievances that they brought up were, number one, the shelter in place and lifting it with no explanation. Now, that can't be blamed on Fry because Fry wasn't in charge, I think, until day 3. I don't know. I'm speaking extemporaneously. But Fry Fry gave the press conference and he had an opportunity to explain it and he didn't. And what do we call that? We call that lack of transparency. And it's a huge problem in politics. And it's the number one argument that they had for his reelection campaign. They also brought up the Elantra. And what really seemed to upset the citizens was that the date of the suspected Elantra changed when the PCA came out. And they didn't learn about that until then or something along those lines. And it offended them that they updated what the whole community was supposed to be looking for and didn't tell the community. So you've got the community scrambling for this specific make model and just been changed and nobody let them know. So that was another argument. I can't remember off the top of my head what some of the other arguments were, but another thing that is to consider is like, you know, and I have to throw the name out because he's a public personality and he was involved, but we have Mark Furman over here. And Mark Furman seems to be so close to this case in Greek Row. And then we have press tactics. Now, if you were a little town and knew none of you had ever been in the national spotlight and something was thrust on you, would you maybe turn to the person who had experience dealing with worldwide, maybe not well, but or who is up for debate, but worldwide publicity? And I think the answer is yes, I would turn to someone who had some experience in that. And what did Furman have to do with the PR, I wonder? Like, what did he influence? Because TMZ was involved. And then, so suspiciously, I don't know why, but, you know, we see so few of the defense's witnesses being completely attacked, but we have one completely called out by name, and it's that Wolf lady, and she's like from the OJ trial along with Furman. So there's just so many like conflating, weird, like moving parts, and it's like, who do you hold responsible for the chaos and the lack of transparency? And I wonder why in society we don't hold people accountable. Like, I think back to like my grandparents and my parents, and you think like if somebody effed something up really bad, they lose their job. And like we see politicians doing crooked things and, you know, just as an example, and bad things all the time, and nobody ever loses their job. They just keep going and they give an apology. There's like seems to be no consequences. So it's a larger byproduct of our society, I think. But anyway, that's
okay. How does this work though? Heather, are you in here? So Moscow is the only, I'm going to say Democrat. I'm not going to say blue or red or whatever. Okay. This is not my political beliefs. I'm just making statements. Okay. So if Fry is a Republican, Heather, how the hell did that work? So what is he just?
No, Fry is a Republican. Okay. But already a Republican running for sheriff. So Fry ran as a third party instead of primarying against the person who was running. So he could have.
That's what I'm saying though. But like the court system though, like the rest of them are blue. Like that's the only blue state part in Idaho is, and that was the whole thing with the COVID thing and all that good stuff or whatever. That was what the deal was with the mask thing. So that's what I'm trying to figure out how that, Heather, that's really, they got some effed up stuff going on there then. I don't think they trust each other if that's the case. Heather says, because that was the whole thing. Like that was the whole big thing. So I think this has a political state to some way in this as well, because it was supposed to be, I guess the church was Republican.
I 100% think politics.
I haven't been listening. I haven't watched him. I was listening to Heather. I knew she was going to say something about Doug Wilson. So what are they faking, Heather? Is that what you're saying they're doing? Like, because I'm confused now. They've got some fucked up stuff going on there. That is a good Lord. Good Lord. That's all kind of, I don't even know. That's what I was saying. Like, I thought, girl, I don't know. I'm confused, Meg. That's why I was asking Heather. Heather's going to have to, I don't know. That's confusing to me.
Wait, hold on. Ariano Thorway says, why do y'all civilians take more interest in these crime investigations than actual cops. To them, it's just meh, another case that requires work. But for civilians, it's a fun topic to discuss. You agree? So I mean, it's definitely a fair question. I think that, you know, I will tell you, we're talking about a very specific case. And as for me, I'm a viewer-driven channel, so I look at my channel as a group of people. I don't look at it as me. I'm just, you know, like the conduit for the content. And when I talked about this case to my podcast, my viewers spoke, and they didn't just like the case, they resoundingly said, this is what we want to hear about. And the interest in the case comes because it is completely gag sealed and redacted. So when we have a question about like some very, very disturbing details that we keep hearing, there is no answer. So the mystery continues. So the community here is basically involved in keeping track of thousands and thousands of documents, and they're beginning to be released right now. So you're hearing a lot of people talking about it on YouTube because we're hearing things we've never heard before. And if you sit for a minute and listen to what we're saying, you might find yourself very interested in some of these things. So we don't want to come off as us disrespecting law enforcement in any sort of way, but we are devoted to this case because it will be coming to trial in about 4 months. And most of us have been waiting about almost 2.5 years for justice for these 4 beautiful souls. And yeah, so anyway, I understand, you know, I understand the tone of your question. I hope that answer satisfies you.
I can also look up Stickergate, and that has got to do with the law enforcement and the town we're talking about of Moscow, Idaho. And if you look up Stickergate and then compare some of the things that are going on, what matters to us is that the police are doing what they're supposed to do and keeping our rights that we have in the United States in check. Also, the other thing is this case has actually been more disrespectful to the 4 victims that have gone, in my opinion, than anything, because the way this case was done, and this is my opinion, I would just advise people to look in it if you haven't seen it, make your own opinion about it. But the way this case is gone, it's not respecting the 4. It's not even trying to find the right person, if you ask me. And it speaks for itself as these documents are coming out, and it makes less and less sense to you. But I mean, I don't want to taint anybody's opinion because everybody has the right to their own opinion. But I think it's very important to find out everybody that's involved in this, because there are other college students that go there. If the wrong person is in jail, then Moscow's not safe. And as I said before, I don't think they're safe. And anybody that can do this personable with a knife and to 4 people, I think it was more than one person, but still anybody that can live with herself every day, every night, like there's a problem with that. So that's where I come from with it.
Can I just add to what you're saying real quick here, if you don't mind? So like when it comes to a case like this, we're seeing sort of investigative tactics. This is a rare case, and we don't see a ton of quadruple homicides in places where people weren't involved in any sort of criminal activity. It's an oddity that sticks out for us. So when we see a case similar to it, or this case, we see some rare investigative tools used, the investigative tools that we don't necessarily hear about like every day. And so what I'm getting at is, number one, when it comes to your constitutional rights, how do you know you have constitutional rights? You can see them on paper. You have to audit them. And when it comes to seeing these rare investigative techniques, you're auditing your rights. Like, you have a right to audit these freedoms. And if we don't have people out here auditing freedom of speech, auditing freedom of the press, auditing your Second Amendment rights, if you don't have people who do that, they slip away. And that is no joke. Like, we watch things get regulated to death when good people don't speak up or pay attention. The other thing is what you just brought up, which is the reason why we have the right to pay attention is it's a public safety issue. It's the reason why, even though people really badly abuse this right. They have the right to talk about the survivors, the victims, and the families, although they, you know, they might have a civil lawsuit against them, but they do have the right to talk about those things because it's a public safety issue, and we have to make sure there aren't extreme offenders out there roaming the streets. And so another thing for our commenter a little bit earlier, it's like, we just found out like less than 2 weeks ago, without a doubt, there was unidentified DNA on this crime scene, on the sheath of the alleged weapon, and there was blood, unidentified blood in other places. So the question I would bring to anyone not interested in this case is, maybe Brian Kohlberger is your guy, okay? But how do you explain the other people that were at the crime scene bleeding on the murder weapon, allegedly?
Yeah, that's the thing. And so, and it is like the judge said, even if Brian got, I mean, just because there's other DNA doesn't mean that doesn't exclude him. But like Miss Potts just did and I didn't watch it all because I was live, but I caught the gist of it, and I knew that was coming because of her community post. Did they even swab the knife sheath? Like, okay, skin cells, and I don't know a lot about DNA. Miss Potts, Kiki, they all probably know way more than I do. But transfer DNA and blood, like DNA is DNA, and it can be whatever. There's issues with it, this, that, and the other. But I'm just saying, if they went to all this trouble to build a tree for some skin cells, but they weren't worried about the blood, and that don't matter. And I'm really confused at how that does not matter, because in a college house, there's not just going to be blood on the handrail from something that happened 10 months. What are they even talking about? That would be dried up. You can tell if you have a crime scene that gory and there is blood anywhere, you need to be testing it. I'm sorry, I don't care what you think it is, but they were stabbed. So this is not. This is a gory scene. So anywhere there is DNA, it needs to be taken care of, and that's my issue with law enforcement. Now, I always look at it as, I don't look at it as just Brett Payne. Where's Brett Payne's boss? You know what I mean? Like, where is the person in charge of him? Because he has a boss. That person has a boss. So where in the hell are the people in charge, and why are their DNA not tested? I don't care if you think it was a zebra's DNA. It does not matter. They could have had a zoo in the house last night. I don't care. Test it. Test it. What are y'all doing? As a parent, in my opinion, and I don't talk about the parents because I respect the kids, but I would be screaming at the top of my lungs because I want every single person that it may be, not what you think it is or think it's not. Because if it was your kid, you're going to want it all tested. Why are we not doing this? How much money has already been spent on this trial? We're going to go to trial, and I'm telling y'all now, we're going to look at exhibits that point away from Brian Kohlberger. I mean, so he's on trial for, I mean, what are we doing? I'm telling y'all, I'm already seeing this, and it's already being proven that that's what we're going to do. So Idaho should be pitching a fit. Other people should be pitching a fit. We have 2 other cases where corruption is all involved. And these are innocent people, like, you know, until proven guilty, but they're normal people. They're not rich. They're not movie stars. I'm not saying they're nobody, but they're like, I mean, hell, I'm not nobody, but I don't want to sit in jail. We have the death penalty in Alabama, God forbid. I don't want to be in the jail cell with females that long. And I don't want to be on death row for something I did not do and nobody investigated it correctly. Like, this is a big deal. And it costs a lot of money to get lawyers. And thank God Ann Taylor is fighting it. But there's a lot of people, like in Alabama, I don't think you hear about nobody fighting it like that, because I don't think they're going to. And I think that's why I don't leave my house, because I ain't got time for all that.
Well, with the unknown DNA samples, what is something that the audience might, I mean, just something to just like really drive home as a point, is that there was a hearing in 2023 where this was brought up, and it was after Bicca Barlow's declaration stating that she wanted these for her discovery and had seen them uploaded to CODIS, and she was told they didn't exist. And essentially, the defense said they wanted this, and the prosecution said, okay, we're going to give you everything. And we're assuming that that happened. The problem that I have is, why was it unknown at that point? Like, yes, maybe now, and I'm assuming we do know who these unidentified DNAs are. I can't imagine that they don't. I mean, if they don't you think that the entire jury is going to have reasonable doubt that if there's unknown blood? So I'm assuming they know. I don't know, you guys. I literally am just thinking out loud. I haven't been on YouTube much, so I'm kind of like giving my organic thoughts without speaking to lawyers or people who do this legal stuff, you know, all the time. But anyway, my point is this, is at that time, the defense hadn't tested them. And there was, it's like, so my question is, where was the lack of interest in knowing who the unidentified DNAs were? And I don't know, to me, when you hear Corporal Payne on the stand stating, okay, well, our take was, we'll test these if we know it's necessary. 4 people were unalive. There were 4 dead, young adults. What more do you need to find out everything? And it's not an issue of money, folks. Like, for anyone watching thinking, okay, well, this is taxpayer dollars, we can't just be like willy-nilly like testing everything. No, it's not about that, because they had assigned specific money for this case. And I have seen the receipts for Othram, and it does not look like they tested anything else. Now, there were other labs, but I think that was where all the raw biological evidence was sent to. So I don't know. I don't know why the defense never tested them. And I think that that's going to be another thing that the defense of Bryan Kohberger is going to bring up in court is, okay, explain to us why you had no interest in the other samples, and explain, like, and it'll be a public safety issue, and that alone might scare the jury a little bit. But I do think that all of these things are certainly to be considered when we talk about things that could be considered for reasonable doubt. I'm like kind of talking in circles. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to get off too, Trisha. I'm really sorry. I'm so
No, you're fine.
But
this is what Ms. Potts just said. I don't know what NG stands for, but this is a very little amount of DNA. And I'm going to put her other comment up here in just a second. But she said he's facing death because of 0.168 NG. I don't know whether, I don't know what NG stands for, but of DNA, while the other blood and the other DNA at the scene and taken off victims that didn't match Kohberger was ignored. And then she says, the defense seems to be arguing based on the state's latest response that the actual perpetrator transferred Brian's DNA to the sheath, not that Brian ever touched it or was at the scene. And this is why I listen to Ms. Potts, because I can read these documents and I don't know what the hell they mean. And she's right more than she is wrong. She will have something going over across her thing saying that she knows nothing, but I tell her all the time she's my favorite I know nothing person, because she pretty much does it, and if she messes up, she'll come and tell you. She will put it on her community post. Yep, I messed up. This is what this means, and this is what that means. And that is why I've always listened to her. So she explains this way better than me. I don't understand the documents, so that's who I go to listen to.
It's who I go to listen to for the documents too. And I just want to thank you while we have you in the chat, because you will go live and just, give us your time to keep us all up to date. And I've subscribed to people who've done that before, and then they like fall off and they don't keep updating you, but you always keep up with the updates, and it's so greatly appreciated. So thank you. And I do have to go because I'm making chicken, broccoli, and ziti, and I have to go cook the chicken and do the pasta and then do all the side. I have a lot to do, but I just want to say thank you to the chat. It's so nice being part of your audience. Thank you for letting me offer the show up to my audience on my little channel. We just have 63 subscribers, but we're growing. We're just a new small channel. And I would love for you to subscribe if you haven't already. And I just appreciate you listening to what we have to say. I would be honored if you hit that like bell. And thank you to her mods. And thank you, Trisha, for inviting me on your show.
Yes. Okay, y'all, and I'm going to get off from here too. I'm going to watch Miss Potts thing because I missed it because I was live. So now I'm going to watch what she said so that I know what's going on because I don't. So that's how I'm doing this. So if y'all haven't seen her Miss Potts live she did earlier, go watch it. That's what I'm fixing to do so that, like I said, I know what's going on because I don't. I wait on her to tell me because I don't understand most of the time.
Well, I love all you guys. Thank you so much for turning out. And thank you to everyone on my channel. Nice to see you.
Thank y'all. Y'all have a good day.
Thank you.